yes, welcome back to another edition of the Oh No Wrestling Podcast. My name is Owen, and I am your Shark Break Kid. And along with me tonight, seemingly as always lately, it's the one and only Matthew, the modern day Maharaja, in the building. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And by in the building, we are doing this from like 1,000 miles away. But hey,
Yeah.
you know, the beauties of technology, my friend.
Like 1,500 miles away.
Something like that. I don't know how math works or maps or anything like that, but I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word. Hey, got a lot to talk about this evening. Namely, of course, the sort of results, our thoughts on Elimination Chamber. We'll also get into where things go from here, and also a little bit about AEW. Are they in a bit of a slump lately? Are they in a lull? And how do we feel about the way that Revolution is shaping up? We'll get to that later. I think we'll start right at it, man. Like, what overall? What sort of rating you giving this pay-per-view? This Elimination Chamber pay-per-view?
Am I rating it just off the main event, or am I rating it off the whole thing?
I mean, I think they are two separate things, right? I think you can get a rating for both, but let's just go with an overall rating for the show.
We going what, out of 5? Out of 10?
Go out of 10. Let's go out of 10.
The men's Elimination Chamber match and the Roman Sami stuff were great.
Mm-hmm.
They were great. The rest of the show was
Pretty weak.
not great.
No.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah.
Like, but the men's Elimination Chamber
Kind of saved it for me. Yeah.
it kept my attention start to finish. Everyone did a great job in that match.
I'm glad that
And
you're
then
bringing that up right at the top of the show, because it really, I wasn't able to, it was the only match I wasn't able to see live. I was watching at work, and when I got in the car, as that match was kind of starting, and I got home before that match ended, or right as it was ending. So it was great to, I was just only one match to be able to go back and watch it later. And I can't say because I wasn't watching it live, but I feel like without that match, and if it was just the highlight of the main event, I feel this pay-per-view would have really, really suffered. But
Yeah.
But
That's why when I'm rating,
yeah, it's tough.
I'm like, because the last two were so good that it actually pushes it.
The
up a
curve
little bit for me.
swings.
Yeah, the curve swings. Like it would be really low. So I mean, I'm gonna end up giving it like, I'm gonna give it like an 8-1.
I was gonna go like a 7.5 for the whole pay-per-view, but the last two are really like 9, like about a 9.5, somewhere in that region, you know. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but you brought up how everybody looked good in that Elimination Chamber men's match, and you're not wrong. Like, not a single person looked bad, and I'd say the person that looked the weakest, or not necessarily even the weakest, but the less interesting going forward, which is no surprise because I'm not a huge fan of him, was Bronson Reed. If anybody was the low point of that match, like, it was kind of him for me. He doesn't. I think there's something there, but there's just a lack of personality. There's a lack of character. Like, there's a lack of something, and I get it. He's just kind of an old school, big hoss, heel monster type character. There doesn't need to be that much more to it, but
Well, I want to know, what's your motivation?
yeah.
That's like the thing. Like, if you're just gonna be like angry and mean all the time, like, that's fine. But I want to know the motivation behind, like, why is your character like that? That's kind of very similar. I think you and I don't know if we talked about it on last week's podcast or we talked about it off air, but we were talking about Brian Cage.
Yes, off air, I think we talked about that. Yeah.
And I think, and I agree. I like Brian Cage.
He's fun to watch.
wish-
Like, in the ring, he's fun to watch.
He is, and I think he maybe should be a little bit bigger of a star than he is. He's got the fucking physique. He's big. He can do some moves. He can, like, he's fucking. I just want something like. You're always you're big. I get it, which goes with angry and mean.
You're big
I get
and
that.
you're pissed off. That's all I've got from you.
I just want to know, like, there's got to be
Who
something
are you
in your
pissed off at?
storyline.
Why are you pissed off? it's like it's the opposite of what they're doing currently, and it remains to be seen how they will how they will go forward with this. But it's kind of the opposite of what they're doing with Powerhouse Hobbs. They've given him this whole like, they're using his real life history and his backstory to kind of like give you an idea of who the man is behind the wrestler, to understand that he's been through all these hard times that would put a chip on your shoulder, right? Like it at least explains why this guy is so pissed off at the world. Not that doesn't exist with Brian Cage or with Bronson Reed. And what happened to the whole? Because when they brought him back, wasn't he like paid off by the Miz, and like the Miz brought him back? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that just seemed to have gone by the wayside. Like I don't remember there being like a blow off from any of that. Like, are they buddies still? I don't know. Is he still paying? Is the Miz still paying him?
I don't know. Miz paid off a couple of people, like MJ. Him and MJF are in very similar storylines.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of the Miz, real quick, I did have the epiphany a couple of weeks ago that the Miz's theme song is written by the same band Downstate as Cody's, and it just blew my mind somehow. Like,
wow.
Yeah, Adrenaline in My Soul, Cody Rhodes is the same band that does I Came to Play. Yeah, they're the same band. But anyway,
right.
It's hard to say who a standout performer of that Elimination Chamber men's match was. It could go to so many. For me, I think it's Montez Ford. Like, but that's not just.
Can we get into this real quick?
Absolutely.
Do you think that is a legit injury or not? Because I haven't heard anything else, and they showed the replay. Like, if it's a legit injury, you don't show the replay. And the fact that I think it was Cole said, like, don't show the replay, like, well, and then they showed it, and I'm just kind of like,
nah, it was a work. It was all just to get Logan Paul in that cage, like that was the whole purpose of that. Also a way, I think, to keep him strong without taking a real pin. Like, he got injured, he got taken out of the match. You've got some agency to do something with him. Like, well, I never really like, if I hadn't gotten injured and so on and so forth. So you can do something there. I think
that jacket that he wore,
dude, the gear in general, all the gear.
Gear was fucking great.
Gear was dope.
That jacket was so dope, dude. Like, up close, everything about this.
Yeah.
Very well done.
The of course the spot probably of the match, really, from the top of the cage, like the Montez Ford, spot.
Well, and did you like? There's one angle that they show, and when he does it, he like puts his feet flat, like on the. He looks like Spider-Man almost.
Yes,
ready
he does.
To pounce. Yeah, he does like a really good job to push off it. It was pretty cool.
It was cool. It's apparently something that gymnasts know. There's a term for like exactly what he did, the way he kind of like pulled his body like through itself almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard to explain on a podcast. But the way he kind of pulled it up, it's like a common gymnast move. So he must have a lot of gymnast training, which would make a ton of sense with just looking at the moveset the guy has. But the way he just kind of like just kind of dropped off the top, and everything was great with that. Came out looking like a major star for sure, future world champion.
You who mine was of that match. I will say this, because in the Discord, a couple of us were chatting, and I think what's his name, Cody.
Kobe.
Sorry, Kobe. My bad. It's because it's like Kobe D something, and my dyslexia. That's what it is. Sorry about that, Kobe. He mentioned this, and I agree. Tez needs to cool it with the crotch chops. And he does it way too often.
Bit much. Well, he did, and he did kind of like the people's elbow type deal. He did like, okay.
Well, what was so great right before that? I almost mentioned it during that match, right when he was about to do it. Like, he did like the kick and then the full on drop, and I was like, he just paid homage to The Rock. And then I was like, oh wait, he's actually doing the full fucking, which he did it well. Like that little kick when he does that pop up to then slam him down to set that up. He did it exactly like The Rock did.
I think there's a lot of comparisons that you can make with Montez Ford and early Rock, like Nation of Domination Rock. I think there's a lot of comparisons that you can make. Obviously, Tez isn't a heel, but I think I guess the way they carry themselves, the charisma, like you can
Yeah.
see that just like this star in development, this guy that's just like right on the cusp of this next turn. And I think towards the end of 2023 and into 2024, we're gonna start seeing Montez Ford really starting to get pushed into that main event picture. I could even make an argument, and we're so far away from it that so much can change. But you can make an argument for him to be a Money in the Bank briefcase winner holder.
Oh,
Um,
he'd be great.
I think that would work. It does tend to work better in the hands of a heel than it does a face, but again, so much can change. I think he can. I think he could play either.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a better face than he is a heel, but I do think he can go either direction.
Yeah.
I thought some of just the opening of the match with Gargano and Rollins, like some of their mat work, some of their grappling, some of their back and forth, excellent chemistry.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
thought my standout was Damian Priest.
dude. I was gonna say, and it's like another like I
Dude, it's solid through and
super
through.
solid, super
Super
impressive, super like hard hitting, real
Yeah, where the fuck's that
strong.
been?
Like, where's that been? Like, I know people talk like I didn't really know him when he was Punishment Martinez. I wasn't familiar with his stuff, but people have always said like, oh yeah, he was different back on like in the Indies and whatnot. And maybe this is it. Like, maybe this is the version that we've not got yet in the WWE.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm here. I'm all for it because guy really, yeah, they made me a believer that any single one of them could have won that match. There was an argument to be made for every single one of them. I did call Theory, and I think it's the right move because it's definitely the right move to get to not have Seth Rollins win it. They needed to get those two as far apart as possible. With the Logan Paul stuff, that problem is solved. So good booking in that regard. Gargano needed that match desperately. He needed to
he really
remind people, no, I'm like not just like a comedy joke
Yeah.
character here. Like, I can fucking go. They call me Johnny Wrestling for a reason, and here we go. Like they did that. So I'm not gonna say it completely rehabilitates him, but it certainly, it's an improvement. And then Theory really looked good too. Like, I'm not a big Theory fan, but I think the slight tweaks that he's been making to his character, to his presentation over even maybe just in the last 6 months, he's a lot more believable in that role as the mid-card champion than he previously was.
Did you watch any of the
press conference?
Press conference?
Saw bits and pieces, just like little highlights. But
Okay, so I watched it afterwards. I just kept it on, and he came out. A couple things to say about that press conference.
I saw him with his glasses. I didn't watch the whole bit. He
dude,
looked the part. He looked the part.
Yeah, well, also he sounded the fucking part because
Did he?
all I wanted
I
to
haven't
do was
watched that one.
slap that motherfucker across the face. And I was like, well, you're doing your fucking
You're
character,
doing your
and it's
job.
like, and it's so fucking
Obnoxious.
annoying and obnoxious, and like you're like this fucking but you're leaned so hard into it, and those fucking glasses are putting me over the top. Everything you're saying, and he's being so condescending to everyone. Every question, he's like, "Oh, really? You're gonna ask me that? Like, why would you ask me that? Like, blah, blah, blah." Like, just talking kind of shit to him. And I was like, yeah, but he's not doing it like amazingly. He's doing it well enough in the character to make it more annoying, but like, I don't know, it just makes you want to slap him even more.
You can tell he's been studying a little bit of MJF, I think.
Yeah.
I think that might be it. And he's nowhere near on his level with MJF's mic skills and just like his quick wit or anything, but it's a positive moving forward for him. I guess tonight they're going to be having he's got a new open challenge, for the US title. Edge is challenging him. That's happening tonight on Raw. Which
Edge, that's okay. So Edge said that in the press conference too. He's like, well, I'm going to show up, and if he accepts, I accept. I'm like, well, it's an open challenge. You just said you accepted, so he doesn't really have to accept. He just kind of show up. But when his music hit and he came out at the press conference, like, it was quiet, and he's like, everybody, come on, yeah. And he's like, you didn't have to clap. It was just like so quiet. he looked like he had just fucking done a couple of lines or something.
Who,
Like he
Edge?
was, yeah, he was all
Yeah.
wide-eyed and like smiley and like, hey, like so intense, like happy intense. But then there was one point where he put Beth up on the pedestal and it's like, I'm just so lucky. And yes, he is, and everything he's saying is probably true. But like that mixed in with like the ass grabbing on the
Yeah.
entrance ramp and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
like, what did she catch you doing, dude?
Right?
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 Like and you're not all right, yeah, praise her, grab her ass, fucking, on camera in front of a bunch of people. She caught you doing something.
I'm just hoping that this is the end of like the Edge Beth Phoenix Judgment Day stuff. Like can this end now? Like I've heard people
Dude,
throw around that it might be Edge and Balor at Mania, and I'm like,
that's what I've heard too.
and they're talking about bringing the demon back and all that, and it's like, no, I'm over it. I don't think I need that.
Here's the thing. They've been doing this for a year-ish since like Mania last year. So, and every time Edge comes back, he fucking beats them.
Yep.
Like he came back, beat them. Like he did the Rumble, threw them all out. Like did that thing. Before that, the last time he came back, he beat them. Like when he did his whatever, what's it, a Brood fucking entrance, right? Like that sort of thing. He beat them again. Like it's just he's done it. I think the only one he hasn't beaten on his own is Finn, so that's maybe why you do it. But it's just done.
I also, I mean, if they're talking about bringing back the demon at Mania, I get it for the spectacle and the entrance and everything like that, but I don't think the demon fits at all with the Judgment Day, not the vibe of the Judgment Day. And it's like, no, please don't split them up. Like, it's working so well for them together as a unit, Like,
yeah,
I feel like it would be way too soon to split them up.
What do you think about this? Judgment Day gets shitty whenever Edge is around. They thrive as a group when he's not there.
Yeah.
And then every time he comes back, they all kind of, the whole thing kind of fucking dips back down. They need to be done with it. They don't even need to acknowledge it.
Just move on.
Just move on and continue to let the Judgment Day ride this, because everyone in that group deserves what they're getting and deserves to continue working towards that.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right.
It just feels like Edge drags that group down.
I agree. Moving forward though, like the other parts of the event, obviously that was a pretty weak match. Not a whole lot to really say about it. Like it was there, it was there. I thought it was pretty sloppy, kind of botchy. I attribute most of that really to Beth. Really, that's really, I was surprised that Balor, I mean, if Judgment Day were going to lose, you kind of had to have Balor eat the pin to keep Rhea strong for Charlotte and all that.
Yeah.
But even though I predicted Edge and Beth Phoenix to win, in the back of my mind, I kind of thought I don't know if I agreed that it was the right move. Like it you could make a very strong argument that it could have derailed the Judgment Day and whatever. But I think they've, escaped that. I think, because Rhea and the Dom thing is so strong, I think it can move forward just fine. But yeah, it was odd. The women's Elimination Chamber match was fine. There was a couple cool spots. I think Asuka was the right person to win. Like, I like that.
Asuka was the right one to win. I mean, I think it's just, sorry, I have Raw on the side here.
Yeah, I'm seeing the
Cody thing, and I just thought, is this my life for the next few weeks? Yet again, just watching Cody Rhodes come down in a suit and fucking talk.
Yeah,
every
probably.
Single fucking week. God damn it.
Yeah, probably, because he's not gonna have a meaningful feud before WrestleMania, is he? Like, it's all about him and Reigns at this point. Like, he might have a match or two, I would hope, in the 6 weeks that we've got, but
I fucking hope so. But I don't know. It gives me almost like CM Punk vibes, like when he came back and you're like, all right, just like stop. Can you do something other than just do promos in the ring? We get it.
It gives me the AEW Cody fucking vibes when we didn't like him. Remember?
Yeah.
Because that's what he was doing.
Yeah, and I do want to finish the thoughts on the women's match,
Sure.
because we are going to get to the Roman stuff, which involves this.
Of
But
course.
like, I do feel like, man, I don't know. I'm not super happy about seeing what we're seeing, and I know we all expected it. I
Yeah.
just think Cody's whole thing, and I get it, not his fault he got hurt, and he gave a banger of a match with a fucking torn pec in a Hell in a Cell prior to him going away. Like, credit where credit is due, but I think had he had the time and exposure, this would mean more.
This,
And because this
yeah.
bloodline story has gotten everyone so
Well,
invested,
exactly. It's
it's like a little bit of a what resentment to Cody
Yep.
that I have, where I'm just like, so you just get to keep, and like, yeah, on paper it makes sense, but like, that's not what I've been invested in.
And it, man, they had the chance, right, to strike while the iron was hot with Sami. They chose not to do it. I understand all the reasons why. I never expected them to really do it, but it still doesn't, like, it does. It somehow cheapens Cody, and it
And
I don't know.
if you do KO Sami versus
The Usos.
the Usos, and you have them win the titles, that's a fucking downgrade for Sami.
It's a consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a consolation prize, and I think that he deserves more than that because of how much of a draw he's been over these last, few months.
There was just a graphic on the screen actually a few minutes ago. I don't know if you saw it. It said Sami and Roman Reigns are the undisputed universal social media champions.
Wow.
Or something like that. And then it said 20 million views.
It's insane.
Across all social media platforms. So he's a champion, social media champion.
Sure.
Undisputed, except for there's two of them.
I hope his time comes. Like, at least it's. I think there's still the possibility that before the year's end, he could be the world champ.
So I was listening to, what podcast was it? Like Wrestle Talk or something. And fucking one of them said, and I think he was saying in his reactions or something, like, he was like, you know what? I never thought they were going to, and I guess he was very vocal prior to this, but he made a good point kind of to what you're saying, but he went a little further, and I think this is it. He said, if Sami is everyone's dude and that's the guy, he said, you have a year. Now you have a year. Stay with him, stay behind him.
Yeah.
Help keep pushing him to keep being this good, and he will get to that level, like, right, like, and be able to get a championship. And he's like, I just don't. He's like, it could be this like lightning in a bottle, right? And then they're like, if you don't do it, you degrade him. He's like, it's our job as fans, if we want, like, to help keep supporting him.
Yeah.
It's his job to keep showing up and doing the thing.
But it's their job to actually book him correctly and write him good stories to tell, because that's what's got them here to this place to begin with. That's why we support him. I mean, we like Sami just because of like the underdog thing that's happened for years, like we've seen him grow. We've seen him transition. He's basically taken, dog shit and made lemonade in a lot of cases. And that's why we've gotten behind him. If the story's not there, then there's nothing. So they absolutely have to keep up with it. I said Montez Ford earlier would be a good candidate, but I think Sami Zayn with the Money in the Bank briefcase is exactly the direction
fucking golden
where you need to go.
I love that. That's exactly where you go.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think that's what you do. And you have him hold it until Mania next year to challenge whoever it is at that point for that belt.
You just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it works. It does absolutely work.
Because to real quick go back to the women's thing. Sorry, we can, and we obviously have more important things. Match was not great. I will say Asuka's face paint looked real cool. The iridescent.
Man, I love that. Amazing. I love the new look with the haircut and the paint. I think I love the new attitude. Like
the new attitude, like, it's awesome. She's doing great things. And then, but I will say, I was surprised. I thought Liv was gonna tap out because that's pretty much all she does other than cry. And She taps out. Am I wrong?
No, you're
She's
right.
always
You're
fucking
right.
tapping out to everything. And so the fact that she wasn't, and then Asuka came up and they put her in that double submission, that was badass. That
Mhm.
looked like it hurt.
It
Like
did.
even, you're
And
like,
she
wow, that,
passed.
and
Did she
she
pass
passed
out?
out. She
Yeah.
didn't tap.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're maybe turning around on the tapping thing, but I might start keeping a tap tally.
I'm sorry for me. The live experiment has come and gone. There needs I think she needs a heel turn. She needs to go away for a little bit. There's something missing with her as well. She doesn't do it for me. From all accounts, I hear that she's a hard worker and all this sort of stuff. I don't care. I don't get invested in Liv whatsoever. They have made me believe slightly, and I hope they continue to do so now that
Well,
with Asuka challenging Belair, I don't think Asuka wins it, but they're at least in a position now with Asuka's new character and the evolution of her character to make me slightly question whether this new revamped Asuka could potentially, take the belt off Belair, which I didn't think they had in anyone really in that
Asuka,
match. But
I'm actually looking forward to that.
yeah,
match.
I think the match would
it'll
be
be a good match.
sleeper hit. I think that one could
match will be a
over
sleeper
deliver. I think it really could.
Yeah.
It'll be better. It'll be better than Ripley Flair. Calling it right now. It'll be better than Ripley Flair.
100% will be.
The results to that will be probably correct. I think Belair will win, and I think Rhea will win. And we won't be mad at the Rhea we won't be mad at that match because of the Rhea victory. But the match itself, I don't think they have chemistry. They've proven it to us before.
Yeah, they've proven it to us before. I don't think they do. Unless, who knows? Maybe they both pull it out. That's what we can hope for. I will say, Liv, man, that's another, and I hadn't really thought about it until right now. What I don't get about it. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about with Bronson Reed and what is your motivation? I get it. You're this Harley Quinn type thing who was part of the Riot Squad, which we never talk about. So why are you who you are?
Yeah.
That's it. I understand you needed to win. It was, it meant a lot to you, the fans, okay. But beyond that, what's your motivation?
You're a hot, crazy chick is all I'm really getting out of you. And you're not even that.
Exactly. And
is she for a younger demographic than us? I think that might be part of it.
That might be it. Are they just, they just don't really have I don't know.
There's not much character motivation there.
That's what I'm saying. There's not much character motivation. And also, there's been so many times I will say in the past full year, maybe a little bit more, where her music hit and I thought Alexa Bliss was coming out because I saw the graphic or something, and then or Alexa's hit, and I thought, and it was almost interchangeable.
Well, I'm there at this point without Alexa doing the whole Bray Wyatt gimmickry shit. Alexa's lost in the same world too.
Which was also, what was the point of Howdy at Rumble? We haven't seen Bliss since then, and
all of this is so just stupid.
And why is Bray Wyatt challenging the winner of the Brock Lesnar Bobby?
Well, this is it. It's real quick. We'll finish up the women's match because another one that I'm sort of lost on in the same regard is Raquel Rodriguez. I don't really get her very much, and I don't know. She's not doing a ton for me. Okay.
She's not doing a ton for me. Her entrance when she turns around and does her back, is she showing the dimples on her back?
Because her back doesn't look that great.
It doesn't look that good. I'm not that impressed. And
Rhea's puts hers to shame.
To shame. And I will say this: she's got to get better ring gear because she's so much taller than everyone else. She wears that. It's it goes all the way down. It's the pants all the the tights come up. It's like a one piece, and then it comes over her shoulders. But it makes her look so weird because she's so tall. And this isn't a body shaming thing. This is just. I think she would. I don't know. She would just look better, and her moves might look better. It's just she looks like rubbery plastic man. The way that outfit.
There's something odd.
Height, there's something off.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Again, not body shaming, but she's she's pretty flat chested too. So there's not much to kind of like define the upper portion of her body. And again, not trying to be like rude or mean. It just, yeah, I think you're right. Like something's off there with her presentation that they should probably address if they're going to really put money behind her in trying to make her like a star.
Yeah.
Don't see it with her yet really at all. I think
And
Carmella actually had a decent match.
Carmella had a
and I can see it more in her pushing her than I can, apart from Asuka, anyone else in the match.
100%, because Nikki Cross, trash. I'm just gonna say that right now. And her character
is terrible.
Annoys the shit out of me.
It's not
and
good.
Also, watching her entrance when she stood outside and then she's looking up and like laughing and like, and I get like
cheesy.
It's supposed to be this like whatever, but also you were doing the same shit as Nikki ASH. You just had a mask on and everyone was like, oh yeah, like, but you're doing the same like weird little like, runs and fucking laughs and like. It's stupid.
I think someone there thinks it's endearing, and it's not.
It's not.
It's not at all. It's cheesy. It's forced. It's not a big fan of that. Now we shall move on, I think, to what happened with Brock and Bobby. Pretty big letdown again. Like, talk about two people that don't really have chemistry again. You know, like.
Oh yeah, no. So let's do it at Mania.
Right. Well, I don't see. That's it. I don't know what they're doing because you got, of course, now you get the Bobby victory by way of DQ because of the low blow from Brock. I guess that's intended to, keep them both strong. Sort of would, like you said, it would sort of insinuate that they continue this feud.
That they're gonna do like a no DQ.
But then you've got this stuff with Bray on the previous SmackDown, and he's basically saying whoever wins out of that.
But there technically wasn't a winner.
Well, I mean, technically Bobby won, but
yeah.
I heard the joke. I mean, someone theorized, well, Brock is clearly scared of Bray because he didn't want to win. That's why he did the low blow and whatever. Like, okay, sure.
No, he would just rather kick him in the balls than tap out to him and give him the satisfaction.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah, I think that's totally the story. So it does beg the question, what the hell's going on with Bray? Why is this Uncle Howdy thing, like, how does that, like, relate to it and what happened at the Rumble? Going even further, like, are they just making Bray's story up as they go? Because I kind of think there's not much direction here, it seems like, at all.
I think they gave him a chance, and then they're like, you're taking too long. Right? And then they were just like, they started like, writing.
Well, now we're writing it for you because this isn't working. That's why that would explain the sort of
there's no way
why Uncle Howdy was against Bray at first,
and then a week later he was with him,
helping him, and then and now Howdy isn't like a fiction of Bray's mind, and he's a real
maybe he's like schizophrenic and it's like a different or multi-personality. Yeah. Now it's not. Now they've been in the same ring together.
They've helped each other physically even at this point now.
Yeah.
So and it really does. I mean, it's got to be Bo Dallas, like behind the mask.
100%.
I'm fairly certain. But
I'm so done with this.
I'm
so done with Bray and his bullshit.
I don't want Brock and Bobby mixed up with this.
No, I don't want.
I don't want a 3-way at WrestleMania with them. I don't.
Or I don't want Brock and Bobby teaming up to wrestle Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy.
God, that sounds terrible. That has
Brock. I don't think Brock would let that happen.
I don't think so either. I don't think Brock.
I wonder if like they said that, had Bray say that, and maybe Brock didn't know, and he was like gonna let
he's
Bobby and he's like, fuck that. He's like, I'm DQ it. Fucking DQ it. We'll do it at Mania again. He was like, I'm not doing that shit. And he's like, fuck that weird shit. I'm not doing that.
Well, I mean, the logical thing that it would be a no DQ match, right? Like that's what they would do. That's how they would stip it up at Mania for Brock and Bobby. And that does actually sound more intriguing than any iteration of a match with either of those parties with Bray Wyatt.
Yes, the only way I would buy either of those parties with Bray Wyatt, and it's the only way, and it's only one of them, it's if Brock was like, just laughed in his face. He's like, "I'm not scared of your shit. Come to my fun house." Which also they brought back Firefly Funhouse.
I think that's they've brought it back once, I want to say, since Bray's return, but they're bringing it back. They're bringing it back again, I believe, on this coming Friday. I think that's what they're doing. Oh shit! It looks like Matthew has frozen temporarily. Oh, there we go.
Hey. Sorry. Yeah, I just got a spinning trying to reconnect. Sorry, your internet is unstable.
What happens?
Anyway, sorry. So the only way I could see this is that Firefly Funhouse, whatever. Just don't. And the fact you brought it back recently again, I just don't know what you're doing with that story. But the one way I would buy it, only way, and this would be a long shot, and it would need to get kind of graphic, but Bray tries to do some spooky shit. Brock just is like laughing in his face, and he's like, "I'm not scared of your funhouse." He's like, "Come up to my land in Canada. That's my funhouse, and let me scare you." And like it's a cinematic thing. And Bray shows up.
I got it.
Braun is hunting him, and then he also like slaughters something and covers Bray Wyatt in the animal's blood and shit like that. And Bray's just like, "I want to get out of here."
Yeah, it's a Brock's butcher shop match.
Yes, on his land. He's hunting Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that actually kind of works. I wonder if they do go cinematic. Like
Brock does he gets two butcher like hooks, and he hooks into the back like his tattoos on Bray's back to fucking hang him.
I can see Brock being awesome in a cinematic match, by the way. Like a big surprise in that regard. I can see him actually totally working. I feel like that might be the best way to go with anything Bray related, period, because he's just not impressive really in the ring anymore either.
No, he's not.
Like, they might even just, I would consider if you've signed Bray for a long ass contract, I would consider him moving him into a more of a managerial role where he can, he can do the spooky shit, and take a bump every once in a while, but I don't know if you necessarily need him wrestling all the time. I don't know.
Dude, he's not wrestling.
He's not. So yeah, what's the difference?
Wrestled like once.
But at least that way, I don't know, you can do something. No,
but I agree. But I mean, if we're just gonna get you talking, you might as well be a mouthpiece for someone or something. I don't know. Maybe Nikki. I don't know. She's kind of annoying and dark.
Yeah, sure. All right. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like we've got Belair coming down. Asuka's in the ring with Nikki. Nikki. I don't know what's going on. Nah. Well.
There's a Nikki versus Asuka match, and I guess Belair came down.
It's a decent way to transition, though, since we're talking about Raw. I, of course, need to know your opinions on the main event of Elimination Chamber. What's happening with Sami Zayn? What happens next with Jay and the Bloodline? And, this whole seeming like, breakup or de-evolution of the Bloodline. How do you see it panning out over this next few weeks into Mania?
Man, it's almost as if the writing is on the wall. And I think that that's what we sometimes critique so much. And we do go back and forth, but we're going to talk about AEW later. I think it's very easy to predict, and they've been very predictable in so many of their bookings, right?
Yep.
But this, because of the Cody thing, they did give us a good show. It was like 45 minutes or an hour, that whole Roman Sami thing said and done, which is pretty fucking crazy and pretty awesome. But beyond that, like, as much as we all wanted Sami to win,
it was still the right call.
What's up?
It was still the right call what they did.
Well, that's the thing, is like, you have how many years into this Roman story?
It's too much investment to.
But what I will like out of this, I actually think because of this Cody thing, which we talked about a little bit earlier, I want Roman to retain from
Right?
fucking Cody at Mania. And that's my resentment based on the things we talked about previously.
Yeah.
I will say, what do you do then with Sami? Obviously, this KO thing. You have 6 weeks. You didn't have to get them together tonight on Raw.
No, you
You
didn't.
have 6 weeks. You can really slow burn this. You still can do these things with Jay because Jay was there. Jay was a part of that, and Jay fucking stood up for Sami too. So you got to tell that story and have that little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still have to do that. It's just so predictable if you do Sami KO at like Sami KO versus the Usos. I don't know who else you would put against the Usos. I would almost like a fucking Sami versus KO as like a fucking just like this is how we hash it out. Doesn't matter who wins or loses. We leave it all out there on the ring and then we get back to like where we are type thing. Like, you know, we're gonna go at each other, let our shit out, and like no matter what happens at the end of this, we're still gonna beat, but we are gonna beat the shit out of each other.
I don't
You know?
hate that, but I also think an Usos Sami KO match will be very good. And I think because of the story they've told with Sami and Jay and Jimmy, especially, you know, of course KO, but you know, KO almost feels like ancillary to like the bloodline story, of course. They've got something there that can actually main event night one. And I think will send people home happy if you have the bloodline defeated. Also sets up night two quite well because now the bloodline is crumbling. Now they're losing titles. Now they're, you know, maybe half the reason that Jay and Jimmy don't win is because they're not on the same page. That they're, you know, and that even the bond between Sami and KO is even stronger than that of brothers and what have you. Like I feel like there's something there. Like there's some drama. Predictable, yes, but sometimes predictable's okay. It just needs to be the right type of predictable. I don't think it's a given that Cody wins at Mania, though. I don't. And because I still think that you can there's ways to get there later with Cody if you want to. So,
yeah, there are. I will say the match in general, they did a fucking great job telling the story.
It really did.
They did a really, really good job, especially, excuse me, sorry, especially with the limited move set of both of the individuals in the ring. Like, because Roman does the same like 3 moves all the time.
Yeah,
Superman
he does.
punch, spear. What's another one?
I mean, he does more.
Other than that,
he
does a lot of holds, man. He does a lot of holds.
He does.
He does it, but he's fucking great because what he does do is he fucking like talks shit to the crowd. He gets his facial expressions. Yep. He like works the whole fucking thing without even having to fucking take a flat back.
He's turned into a great actor.
He really has. And so he does that. But I will say they have a limited set, and like so does Sami Zayn.
He does.
They both did a couple of things which I thought were cool and a little bit different from their moveset. But with that moveset that they both have, they put on a main event show. They told the story, the way they used those moves, and the way that they timed everything else, even with holds or with them moving around and like throwing people back in the ring, or Roman interacting with Sami's fucking wife. Also, what a bigger babyface move in the world than kissing your wife in the front row. Fucking Sami, goddamn, good for him.
I mean, I had goosebumps with the entrance.
Also, are those his kids? I meant to look that up before.
I know he has at least one, but she looks just like him.
And she was like smiling the whole time.
Yeah. I think that those are his kids because they look too much like his wife. Unless his wife has kids from a previous marriage, who knows?
Here, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I know, like, because KO even mentioned it on the promo tonight, at the beginning of this Raw. He said, you know, I did it for myself. I didn't do it for you. I didn't do it, you know. He's like, my family, my kids had to watch me getting, you know, destroyed, beaten up by the hands of the bloodline at Royal Rumble, and you didn't do anything to help me. and type deal.
Yeah,
and
he has one kid.
so it's just the one. So
He has one with her. I don't know if he or she has another one from a previous thing or not, but from what I'm
well, they were clearly related. That's got to be
yeah.
Either way, doesn't matter. But
yeah, it doesn't matter. But I thought that was cute because I was like, that little kid is
oh,
having
man.
so much fun, and like she was just smiling, even
Yeah,
though like you
beaming.
shouldn't be smiling, and
Yeah.
she's like, that's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Such
or
a proud
whoever,
moment.
uncle or whoever it is,
Yeah,
right? Who
whatever.
knows? But
like such a cool thing. Because all right, so I will say to that, which is probably why I'm thinking about this also. I did watch last night. I put on A&E for a while, and Goldberg was on before NWO, so I caught the last hour of that, which I hadn't seen. And then I watched the full 2-hour NWO thing, and then I missed Rivals, the Andre Hogan thing, which I
didn't even
watch.
realize that was last night. All right, I got something I can watch tomorrow.
I recorded the NWO one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Hop on there.
Yeah,
good man. Good man.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. They did a great job. I mean, A&E does good shit. Like, and so all this wrestling stuff's good. Even the Goldberg thing towards the end, like, that was the reason.
Of course, their WWE perspective skewed.
Obviously.
You know, they might as well be on the network or whatever. But
but I loved watching docs on the network because they were so well done.
They're so well, they do deliver. They're
right?
always well
and
produced.
like that was the Goldberg story they told in that second hour. Because like I said, I didn't watch the first, but the second hour was pretty much like he was done. I started watching when Bret Hart was on. I was like, "This is gonna be 2 hours of Bret Hart talking shit," and so it was that and Goldberg doing their like interview things, talking about it. Then they did the Goldberg Lesnar match, right, where everyone knew they were leaving the next day because their contracts were up, and so they like booed them out of fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then what was that? It wasn't 18, I don't think.
I'm terrible with dates. I'm terrible with
me too. I'm horrible. That's So, but it was so then he left and said I was never going to do it because he never wanted to be a wrestler. He got into it for the wrong reasons, just to make money and like that type of shit. And then he's like, but then he's like, you know, he was doing this movie, The Longest Yard, met his wife, and his wife's talking. She's like, my 3 things were never date a stunt man, never date a professional athlete, and never date an actor. And then like he asked her out, they fell in love, and she never knew him in his wrestling days.
Yeah,
because he was retired. Then they had a kid, and so he's like, when the chance came up and they asked, would you be interested, he's like, I'd never gotten to and again, this could be story they were telling, but it did hit, and it made me think Sami when I saw the kid. I was like, and he was like, I did this because I wanted to show, I wanted them to experience it again, right?
Well, and I remember all that stuff where it was that awkward thing where he's like kissing he brought him in the ring, he's kissing him on the mouth, had him take his shirt off, like
I think he got him blow him.
It was a little weird.
And then he yelled, "Who's next?"
By the way, just you mentioning it, there's nothing more in this world that I love more than grumpy Bret Hart. Like I love a good grumpy Bret Hart. It's my favorite. It's the best. I know he's written a couple books. I've never read either of them. I'm gonna have to get a couple Bret Hart books because I just want to like.
I want to get the audiobook where he
where he narrates it. A grumpy Canadian accent, just.
And I want the extended version, like the editor's cut, where like it's all the shit with him like getting pissed and being, I'm not doing this today anymore.
I'm done. I'm
done. Give me a Tim Hortons.
Oh, I love it. Moving on a little bit here. Let's see. I mean, overall, Mania's shaping up quite well. You know, I don't have much else to add really to the Elimination Chamber stuff, or even...
No, they set up the Seth Logan thing. That's going to be a match. I mean, I think
which will deliver.
It'll very much deliver. I think that. And what a better person. I mean, I guess rather I should say there is no better person charisma wise, I think, to do the publicity leading into Mania than Seth Rollins for a match with like a social media person like Logan Paul.
Yeah, it's the right call.
No one better, because he's gonna fucking he's just gonna do all his weird fucking shit, like,
Yep.
you know, like, I don't know, all these clothes, and he kills it.
He
Yeah,
absolutely does. I mean, he's almost becoming an influencer in his
right.
character
I
to a
think with those
degree.
little red boots from the
Yeah.
last one, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, let me get my hands on the whatever's popping on the internet and fucking do it.
Exactly, exactly. But the card is shaping up quite nice. Again,
It
we
is.
don't know about Brock or Bobby or Bray or what have you. But I mean, clearly we're gonna get Roman Cody, which will deliver. It will deliver. Like that will be a good match. There will be a ton of heightened drama surrounding it. Like if it is the KO Sami Usos match, it will be good. I said, Flair Ripley, not high hopes. Oscar Belair, pretty high hopes. I don't know what
Probably
else.
gonna get what, Dom Ray,
Yeah, that makes sense. Dom Ray for
probably
sure.
Edge Balor.
Yeah, possibly.
What does Damian Priest do?
Not sure, but what
Don't
does
don't put him in a battle royale though.
I mean? People are saying like we're getting Theory Cena,
Yeah,
which makes total sense. I think Theory has to win that though.
yeah.
I think Theory absolutely has to win that. Um, what do you do with Gunther then? I mean, because I think they just need to pivot and
Gunther Brock.
just do Gunther Brock, just because that's the match. That's the match we want to
Yeah,
see. I don't even
yeah.
that match doesn't even need the title involved.
No,
That match can just be. That match can just exist. And if you wanted to take the title off of Gunther before Mania, I don't really see a huge problem with that. I think you can I think you can throw it on Sheamus.
yeah, but he's doing his thing with Drew, so
Mhm.
which I mean, I don't know. I don't care about any of that actually. None of that is I find intriguing, but I
No.
do think you could do Gunther and Brock, and you could keep the title on Gunther, and you could have Brock be so fucking just be like, I don't even want to challenge you for the title. I just want to beat your ass.
Do a three-way with Bobby.
I like that less, but I don't hate it.
I can see them having it so like Bobby eats the pin and Gunther retains.
Yeah.
I can see him doing something like that. I wouldn't hate it.
And then
I'm
Bray
not,
Wyatt comes out of the middle of the
yeah,
ring, and Uncle Howdy elbow drops from the ceiling,
yeah,
and hopefully he misses and he lands on
uh-huh,
Bray,
yeah.
and they're both injured and they have to go away for a while, and then we never hear from them again.
Oh God, man, you're getting harsh. Speaking never hear from again, New Japan Pro Wrestling will never be hearing from Jay White again, apparently. He has lost the match that I don't think we expected really to even ever happen, let alone be under this stipulation. That if Eddie Kingston won, that Jay White would never wrestle for New Japan again. Now, of course,
Yeah.
never say never. It's obviously kind of a worked thing, I'm assuming. But I haven't seen the match. I've seen a couple of highlights. It does intrigue me. I will probably go back and watch it at some point.
Yeah.
But a lot of
But if he
intrigue.
doesn't, but I will say that's probably because of all of this, has to be he's not going to WWE.
I see. Okay, there's a lot of intrigue in that. There's
I don't
where
think
where
so.
does Jay White go? And
He's gonna do a Ring of Honor or AEW thing, and it because of Kingston, because he still can have access to Kingston.
I mean, you're making too much fucking logic and too much sense when you say all of that. But I just think about how piss poor all the stuff with Jay White went in AEW. Like he didn't connect whatsoever.
But do a Ring of Honor thing, because you can still have Kingston jump
Yeah.
around.
Is that a step down for Jay White though in at this stage of his career?
Not if he wants to build himself in the United States.
But I don't know that I mean, maybe he's just
WWE
lying.
is not going to do shit with him. He's not going to pop. No one's going to pop for him in WWE.
I agree, but he is talented. I do think that he does have worth, and I can see the WWE trying to make it work under Triple H. Never would happen underneath Vince. But I
You had
still
people who were so much more over.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, Finn
Yeah,
Balor,
yeah.
Good Brothers. He's not, at least to me. At least to me, that's one man's opinion. Like, and I'm open to anyone else's. I'm not going to argue anyone's opinion. I'm not going to tell you I'm right. It's just, it is what I believe. It makes zero fucking sense. I don't know where he fits in unless you have him come in and just smash on Theory. I don't know, which isn't going to happen.
The only possible shot they would have of making a big deal of him, and again, I don't think this would work, but the only shot you'd have to bring him in like megastar fashion and almost have him be top of the card challenging Cody if he's the champion or something.
That's not going to happen.
I don't.
People in WWE who watch WWE don't know him, dude.
I didn't really know Jay White until a couple years ago.
If he was gonna get a pop like that, he would have gotten a much bigger pop in AEW.
Can I just say this about Jay White too? Can I just say something about him?
There is.
Shave the goddamn beard. I've seen he looks so much better without like the stupid goatee thing that he has.
So I watched,
and that's rare. I usually think men look cooler with beards. I've got one myself. But he looks straight white trash with that thing.
What did there was Kenny Omega posted. I don't know if it was right after the match or if it was like Jay White's birthday the other day or something, but like he posted a clip of him and Jay White in New Japan. And they're like doing a move, and he said something. I'll have to look it up. He said like, oh, too bad, or like happy birthday, or good day, get Jay Lethal.
Good day, yeah.
Something like that. And they do this thing, and it looks like Jay White's gonna get a move, and Kenny fucking bounces off the ropes, and the camera just picks it up. He just yells. He goes, "Fuck you, Jay!" Fucking V triggers him, but he like yells, "Fuck you, Jay!"
I love it. Kenny at times can be so goddamn funny and amusing too. Like he's I don't love it. Like I think it gets a little old when he's doing like his BTE super goofy shit. Like I think that can be a little dumb.
But like that, he was like, "Fuck you, Jay."
No, I love
he does
that.
It, like
I love
as
that.
he's like in the power move.
Yeah.
I will say, did you see? I haven't watched it. I do watch, or I used to when I traveled because I'd run out of shit and I'd watch it on the airplanes. But Young Rock. I didn't realize that fucking Nick Jackson on the new season.
Nick Jackson's in it?
He's Hollywood Hogan, which would explain the fucking
Oh wow! I didn't know this.
I didn't know that either, but I saw it recently.
Nick
on Twitter.
Jackson's playing Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, on Young Rock.
I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to watch that. Before we take a break, and we're getting there, we'll finish up some more WWE content, and then we can switch when we come back from break to primarily, more AEW central content. But goddamn, did you see on this past week's SmackDown the segment with Hit Row?
Hold on, let me pull up my notes.
This is the one that Bray interrupted, by the way. So why is Bray even?
Bray is all over the place.
He's all over the goddamn place. I mean, I think I prefer Bray in a feud with Hit Row than I do with Brock.
Yeah,
just because it keeps him out.
I actually wrote from that. These are the only notes I had from SmackDown. Hit Row should not rap.
Yes.
Why is Bray involved with Brock and Lashley?
Yeah, dude. Well, okay, so they're clearly trying to do the Hit Row, like knocking off the Acclaimed. I mean, which I'm gonna write down now for when we talk about later, because I did want to bring this up. I think the Acclaimed have lost some value recently. Okay, well, we'll definitely have that conversation when we get back from break for sure. But at least we can agree that the wrappings of the Acclaimed far exceed the wrappings of Hit Row. Yeah, and also the wrappings of the Acclaimed also I don't think would work as well if you had multiple people rapping. You just got Max. The one.
why do they have multiple people rapping in Hit Row?
And they should just, it should just be Top Dollar, who is a rapper. Like that he claims he's a rapper. I don't think he's very good, but he is technically he
probably just produces, bedroom producer with Fruity Loops.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
You know.
But at the end of the day, like, yeah, it should. The way the Acclaim works is you've got rapper and hype man.
Yeah,
that's all, and the other two just need to be hype man and woman, and just let and honestly, just let Top Dollar rap and not wrestle.
Yeah. Michael Cole would love.
Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy? I know it's B-Fab, and is it what's the other guy in the fucking group? I always forget his name because I
always do too.
And he's really good. He's like really good in the ring, and I think has potential, but he's being completely stunted by Hit Row.
Hit Row just needs to not.
Well, I think they were dead on arrival, weren't they? Like they were.
It's Ashanti the Adonis, Ashanti and Top Dollar and B-Fab.
Yeah, no, Ashanti the Adonis is actually, I think, has some potential but he's never gonna get there in this failed attempt at a group. I mean, talk about like Triple H having like re-signing hits and misses. This is a re-signing miss for damn sure. Like, because Hit Row was only ever Swerve and the rest of them.
You know what I would be okay with at Mania? Bray Wyatt versus Top Dollar, and just do it on the intro.
And who can do a worst Tope Suicida match?
Yeah, and just do it on the intro. Just have them both try multiple
times.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of people out there. Put like
don't even have
Bray's stupid characters. Yeah, put Bray's stupid characters out there that Top Dollar can jump onto.
And Top Dollar,
and then Top Dollar's got Hit Row or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Bray's, and there's judges at ringside. They've got You've got like high flyers like Ricochet and guys that can do really good ones. And they hold up a number, and then
that's it.
That's it. That would be more entertaining than any Bray Wyatt match that's happened in 100%. The last. You could probably predict, going forward. Oh man, goddamn, that's pretty fucking funny.
That is pretty fucking funny.
Oh, dude. Let's take a short break if you're okay with that. I think it's about time. I think we'll take a, like a 10-minute break or something. If you're watching on the twitch.tv/ONRS live, of course. That ONRS stands for Ono Radio Show, which is the sort of cousin, sister, brother, podcast to this one. And we do that sort of, we release 2 episodes a week. We've got Ono Radio Show and Ono 2.0. Usually
I almost fucking text you. Sorry to cut you off, but I almost texted you yesterday.
Yeah.
And I knew it was your day off and you've been working hard. That episode this 2.0 didn't come till late in the day on my podcast.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Sunday mornings, that's
my fault.
I did think, I was like, well, Owen has been working a lot, but I will say, people, you should listen to it because I am that addicted to that show that I am not on, that I listen to it immediately the next morning when I wake up.
Oh, that's so kind. It's
on
so
Fridays
kind.
and on Sundays.
Yeah, there's no real way to describe the Ono Radio Show other than that it's a good laugh from time to time, and it's usually pretty vulgar. So just go ahead.
Snake charming.
Snake charming, yeah. Yeah. Gotta get that moving. Woo. Let's go ahead. Yeah, like I said, let's take a little bit of a break. Patreon.com/ONRS if you'd like to donate any of your hard-earned cash. We put up some extra content up there. And don't forget, for, of course, all of you fans of Ono Wrestling, if you are not a part of not only our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Ono Wrestling, and you should be a member as well of our Discord community. If you're, just search for us over there on the Discord. We do live, like, pay-per-view chat-ins. Usually pretty much every pay-per-view we're in there. Occasionally we'll hop in for episodes of Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, especially if there's a big one. But yeah, Matthew, let's give him a little woo and take a few. Woo! Oh yeah, we're getting funky, we're getting sexy here on your second segment of the Ono Wrestling Podcast. I know we kind of wrapped up talking about WWE, but we're recording as Raw is going on here, and I guess Almost has challenged Brock Lesnar. So that's the thing that add him to the worst match ever with.
Yeah, let Bray wrestle him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, another Tope Suicida battle. Just add him into that. Yeah. There was something else that I saw kind of.
Well, I wrote something down because to get back into WWE talk also for a second. Because as we were going to break, I was watching Seth and The Miz, and it really made me think. Do not do a triple threat with Miz, Logan Paul.
Oh,
Seth
that's what they're
WrestleMania.
gonna do.
They're going to because Seth was on Miz TV the week prior to this, when all this happened, and we obviously all know the things with
the
Miz
history
and Logan
with
Paul.
Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. Oh man, is that a way to get Logan the victory? To screw? Yeah, that's probably what it is. Don't like it. Feel like it would have been just much better as a one-on-one. Little just fun fact though, as again we're still just talking WWE stuff for a sec. I didn't realize this, but the Elimination Chamber can't be called the Elimination Chamber in Germany, which makes total sense.
Does make sense.
It's called No Way Out, which is like, wasn't that another WWE pay-per-view like back in the day? Like, yeah. So it's interesting, but I mean, I understand completely why, and it's not like it's a big deal, but I thought that was interesting. We've got as Raw continues, we have a Ding Dong Hello segment with Bailey and the damage control, and then
Dakota Kai looks so annoying.
She does. I bet she's really annoying,
doesn't she?
Yeah,
she does. looks like one of those chicks from like Myrtle Beach who smokes cigarettes all the time, like. I don't know, probably
a little trashy. Yeah, she's always yeah. Becky's out here now. There were rumors though that tonight we might get Trish Stratus returning, like to set up. That. So I guess it would set up some form of match with, like, I guess, what is it going to be? Becky Lita versus I don't know that. Why would Trish? I don't know. Like, if they're going to do like a tag team thing, why would Trish team with Bailey? I don't understand how that would work. I could understand it more if Becky turned again or something, and then you had Bailey Becky versus I don't really understand. Maybe Damage Control turns on Bailey. Bailey can turn face. I don't see that happening. And because then you got Lita and Trish aren't going to be booed. They're going to have to be the faces. So I don't really know what's going on or where they're going with this whole.
Are they going to end up doing a three-way Lita, Trish, Becky versus Damage Control?
Yeah.
Six-woman tag.
That's what they're doing, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Yeah, you just figured it out. That's what they're doing. It gets them all on the card for WrestleMania. It gets your nostalgia.
I had to see 2 versus 3 standing across from each
other. I can't believe I didn't get that beforehand. But yep, you're absolutely right. Which means that there's no women's tag team match at Mania then, right?
Titles don't really mean anything anyway.
They don't. But that makes sense because of again, nostalgia pop, your legacy thing that they like to throw out there at Mania. 2 big stars in Lita and Trish. Nothing else really going on for Becky and Bailey. Gets them on the card. Yep, that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Okay. All right. Well, moving on. Should we switch gears a little bit into some more AEW talk?
Yeah. Do you have a point to start with, or do you want to start with your question? Are they that you said at the top of the show? Is AEW? I forget what you said exactly, but are they in a little bit of a slump?
Slump or a lull, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, I mean,
a couple of weeks ago we were very hot.
but these last couple weeks had not been so hot.
I will say it was this last week.
Mostly this last week, yes.
And I was ready, I'll be honest. As good as the Danielson matches were, I was overseeing them every week.
Yeah.
But then I realized on this one that maybe
that's what was missing.
That's what was missing, and maybe some of the other shit just wasn't as good. Like, because they always had a high flying match, which is always fun to watch, right? Like, but like a 6-man tag or something like that, right? Like, those are all fun matches, and that's what we had. Like, leading towards the beginning of the year.
I can't even remember totally what was on this last Dynamite card.
All right, so I text you a couple of things. I'll put because I ran through it for you.
Yeah.
Because you got in about an hour. I think it was about an hour. You started watching.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened? Okay. Gotcha. Sorry. I have so many of these. All right. Here we go. Hey, here we go. So they did Briscoe beat Woods. It was a good match.
Okay, yeah.
They did the 8-man tag. I said I don't remember what happened at the end. Wasn't an amazing match in my opinion, but I was a little distracted.
Who was in that 8-man tag? Fuck if I could remember now. Couldn't have been that memorable.
It was like Blackpool Combat Club. I think it was. Fuck.
What, Yuta, Claudio?
No, it was Mox and Claudio.
Okay.
And it was who else? I don't even remember.
Was it more Jericho Appreciation Society shit?
Yeah, I think so. Here, hold on. I'm gonna look up the card.
Because that can end now.
That can end now. Especially talking about like how bad how bad they've gotten, like, well, at least with booking recently. All right, here we go. Texas Tornado Tag Team match. Claudio and John Moxley versus Roosh and Preston Vance. That was that one.
Okay.
Mark Briscoe versus Josh Woods. The 8-man was Orange Cassidy, The Acclaimed, and Billy Gunn versus Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. I don't know. Yeah, Jack Perry versus Brian Cage. Ruby Soho versus Tony Storm versus Britt Baker.
God.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Wardlow promo with Jim Ross, which I will say that this gave a little bit more because I was there front row when he got his hair cut, and we've kind of talked like what has happened since this. This interview did give at least. I've talked about it a few times tonight. I don't know why this is like the message I'm vibing with, but like it gave me some backstory. It gave me
context.
Like it gave me context as to why this meant a lot and why you're upset about it and angry. And guess what? You're holding yourself together while you're saying this right now, but you're showing emotion and it means something. So when you show up on an entrance ramp or backstage or in a ring, angry, pissed off, Wardlow fucking doing your thing, it makes sense.
Now it makes
like,
sense.
I get it. I'm into it.
And it's added stakes. It's added, some drama and gravitas, if you will, to the match at Revolution that will presumably be, of course, Wardlow and Samoa Joe rematch.
Exactly.
It's made that more interesting. But I think part of the reason, and again, like, it's extremely highlighted by the main event that we'll talk about in a second here on this past week's Dynamite. But the biggest reason I think overall that I'm feeling the AEW might be in a bit of a lull is I look at the potential card for, Revolution, and I'm not that excited.
It's not that exciting.
And that's sad because almost all of the Revolutions, it always seemed like
been good.
I think Revolution in a lot of ways is almost more of their number one event in a lot of ways than All Out. Or double or nothing. Like, right. I feel like it might go like Double or Nothing number one, Revolution to
Revolution
All
2.
Out number
But it
3.
felt like Revolution was actually starting to be bigger.
Yeah, I agree. And this does not feel that. I mean, I have every faith that on the night they'll get me really, really hooked within this Danielson MJF match. I have no doubt that that can almost not fail, right? Like it will be great and it will deliver on all angles. But I'm kind of over the Moxley Hangman story. Like I'm not over the story in per
I'm
se,
over the
but
story. I'll say it. I'm
but
done.
I don't know if I don't need to I don't know if I need to see it again. I think it's like one too many times. It feels kind of just yeah. It's
Oh, you mean
worn
it's
out. Its
almost like a
mm,
Brock
right,
Lashley?
right. It's worn
Like, all right, we've had the 3. Why do we need to
the
do 4?
fourth. It's worn out its welcome, right? That feels a little like weak up until this point with Wardlow and Joe. That was feeling just like another. Oh, we've seen this again. Like,
Yep.
let's do this again, and it still kind of feels like that. Like that's not.
Oh yeah, this didn't it didn't turn like everything up to 11
right.
for me. But I will say the interview gave me context, which made me start caring about it more so than I was
Absolutely.
prior to this.
What do we? I mean, are we gonna get Christian Jungle Boy? Is that
Fucking probably because that's still a fucking thing, and that needs to be done.
I'm done with that. So there's another one on the list.
Yeah. God, I also really hope, man, I really hope I had this thought because I watched that Elimination Chamber press conference. Edge, they ask him about his retirement. He's like, they're like, you said like 6, and he's like, well, I said like 6, 7, and he's like, well, 8. Like very clearly said 8, which is like August, which is apparently when things are kind of done. But it would make sense he could do his little run and then do. I don't know where SummerSlam is, but maybe it's in Canada because he says he wants to do it in Canada. But
retire.
Do not bring him to AEW.
No, don't
do it.
Don't
fucking do it. I don't care, and get Christian out of there.
Right.
Keep him back.
If anything, if it's really that big of a deal, I don't know how long Christian's contract is. But pull him back to WWE for 6 months and tell a story there and do it that way. I need that. I want that story in WWE, not muddying up the waters in AEW. They just don't need it. It doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't need to be. And I think that so you probably have you probably have that, then or Jungle Boy and that, which needs to be done. So that makes it already kind of whatever. I think you end up doing probably the Acclaimed and Guns
again.
Yeah, again, which will bring me to what I had written down on this post-it here, which was
okay. It's already according to Wikipedia, it's the Guns versus the Acclaimed versus.
Is it like 2 more tag teams?
Yes, it's a 4-way tag team match versus the tag team battle royal winners, which I believe happens on Wednesday, and then the casino tag team royal winners. Way to make that more confusing, guys. Just do it as your top fucking 4 teams.
Yeah, just do it as that.
I don't know that we need all these goddamn battle royals.
We don't need these.
Maybe one.
So these next couple of weeks are probably going to suck.
Right. Put FTR in there with the winner of one of the battle royals.
Yeah.
Fine. You know.
Exactly.
That would make a lot more sense than doing it this way. But
but
I don't need that match again. I don't need that match unless, like, I feel like this is probably gonna somehow just get the belts back on the Acclaimed. Otherwise, I mean, I feel like it is probably gonna be FTR as one of those 2 tag teams. I really have a clue who else you put in there, though.
Well, so like that's what I was saying, dude. FTR stock seems down to me.
FTR's or the Acclaimed, because you were saying the Acclaimed.
Oh, sorry, the Acclaimed. Sorry, did I say FTR?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like confused. Bronson Reed was walking in. I was thinking about how he has no charisma.
Yeah.
The whole.
I can do a snarl. I can do the Elvis snarl.
Yeah, exactly.
Baby.
But anyway, so the Acclaimed, they were so fucking hot, dude.
Yeah, they were.
This week did not feel like it.
No.
And I feel like they started losing it, for me at least, when Billy Gunn called that therapy thing, because that segment
Yeah.
like really kind of killed. So like this whole thing has kind of just kept it going. And when they lost it, I'm not arguing that it's bad booking on the Guns. I just think that it's bad booking for the Acclaimed, because they just didn't seem to have that oomph when they came out. And I don't know if it was just the crowd, if it was them, if it's that they're lacking the gold, if it's this storyline is played out and everyone's just tired of it.
I feel like
can see the writing on the wall.
They were definitely when they were at their peak was when they were chasing the belts, and then they made that bold decision. Who did they beat? Was it FTR?
It might have been. Yeah,
I feel like it was FTR. Whoever they beat, when it was the time that like they were so over and they finally got the belts. It's the Hangman curse, right? Better in the chase than when you're the champion.
Yeah,
and I think that kind of happened with with the Acclaimed, and that's maybe why they're doing this now, to have the Guns with a small title reign to get it. I can see them trying.
They defeated Swerve in Our Glory.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know if I saw them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right. Well, no, they did, though. I think they did.
They beat him at Archer Ath.
Okay, yeah. All right. Wow. Yes, you're right. Because it was hometown type thing. The Guns have beaten FTR on a couple of occasions through cheeky roll-ups and shit like that.
Which is Gun style.
But that's why I think FTR's in the match. You can make the argument that it would be, again, this is all whether or not FTR re-signing, if like what their deal is with AEW. That seems like it's very up in the air right now. But if they are re-signing, this is probably the time to put the belts back on FTR, I would say.
Yeah.
And turn them back heel.
Yeah, they gotta be heel.
They gotta go back heel. Like, I like face FTR, I do, but I think they're better as heels, and I think they will be better champions, long-standing champions as heels.
I think so too.
And then you can have an Acclaimed FTR program that would work quite well.
Because that's what they are.
That's what they are. Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. I think that's the only way to go. But like, this is the only match to me, like, and I'm not super excited about it, that really has much intrigue. Like, a Texas death match with Moxley and Hangman will at least, there's gonna be blood, there's gonna be plunder, it will be intense, and on the night, I'm probably gonna like it a lot. But I just feel like it's
so this is
again underwhelming in its build.
To your point, you're gonna like the match, and I think we're gonna get a lot of that. Like, I liked the match, and overall, technical wise, wrestling and everything, good pay-per-view. It's the stories.
Yep.
I think that's lacking. And I think that FAEW is smart because they know they're like carrying this out until they get there, right? Which we're not that far away from. We are not. We're like 2-3 weeks, 2.5 weeks or something.
It's about 2 weeks. It's on March 5th.
Weekend. It's the weekend. It's not next weekend. It's the weekend after.
Yep.
Which is so. I probably won't be able to watch that live. Fuck.
I will be on a business trip myself, so
my parents and my little sister come to town.
Oh, cool.
That morning. That's the 5th.
Nice.
But which is fine because again, I will watch the whole pay-per-view. The wrestling is going to be great. Oh, Heather might watch the wrestling with me, but like, she totally will. But the wrestling will be good. But it's the storylines. But this has to be a hard reset. This has to be like the WrestleMania season, which actually extends a little beyond because we get Backlash. But like, we don't need a AEW Dynamite Backlash on the boardwalk in, Boca Raton, fucking whatever the fuck they call it that week. We don't need it needs to reset everything. We need to be done with Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. That needs to be over, right? 100%.
We need to be done with Moxley, Hangman. We need to be done with Samoa Joe, Wardlow. We need to be done with the Guns and Acclaimed. We need to
this is it. You got to be done.
I mean, Danielson and MJF will have gone on for pretty fucking long by that point. So probably
pretty fucking long.
Probably time to end that too.
this may be a good point to. I did not respond, and I did not respond only so that I could bring it up on the podcast.
Right.
But in Gorilla Chat a couple of days ago,
What did I
you
say
threw
now?
something in there, and you said it's something to the effect of, "I don't like it, but I think they're going to bring, or I think CM Punk is going to come back." Something to that effect. Yeah. I'm not quoting.
I do. I think it's going to happen.
And you know what? One, I didn't respond because I've had that same feeling for a while, and I believe it to be true.
Yeah. I again, I'm not super stoked
Two,
on it.
I think it's part of the big reset, and I think there's an MJF, CM Punk, or you do. If you want to go balls to the wall and make wrestling fans go crazy, you do CM Punk versus Kenny Omega.
I don't think that's happening because I do think they're still trying to move forward with the trios thing, but
I know, but like, I'm just saying, if you wanted to,
you could.
That's
and that actually does.
That's like the stare down, which again, so real quick, to tie this back, like that type of stare down when you get them in the ring, right? Like staring each other down.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Sami and fucking Roman.
Yeah, but in real life.
That's very
but in real life.
I know, and that, but
with
that was
real life beef.
But Sami and Roman gave off, before I even thought about this, gave off very like Hogan Rock vibes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they didn't fucking do anything for like 7 minutes or whatever. I don't know. I just made up 7 minutes, but it seemed like a very long
lifetime.
time.
It was a lifetime.
And, yeah, because that crowd was fucking hot.
Yep.
So,
and the right choice, by the way, right choice to bring out Sami second. And I never like a champion coming out first.
I know, but it
was the right choice with the music, which I wish they wouldn't have done that the night before on SmackDown. They should have saved that for Elimination Chamber.
But you know what he did do on the intro? I don't think on SmackDown he did the like he did like that little punch in the air and kick.
Yeah.
I don't think he did that like when it kicks in. He did that on Saturday night. Also, on SmackDown, I felt so fucking bad for him, dude. My heart dropped.
Oh, when he almost slipped. When he, oh
And
yeah.
did you see the next night?
He fucked up.
Did you see the next night?
How careful he was.
Dude, he stood there and I was like, I don't even know if he's going to go up there. And he was so slow.
Yep.
Getting up there. I felt so bad for him.
I did too. Like, he's just overexcited in that moment, right? Like, it could happen to the best.
He's done it a million times.
Yep. But it had to be that night.
Never been a fucking issue.
Thankfully, it wasn't an issue, though. Like, it was fine. Everything was, you forgot because of just the intensity of that promo. Like, none of that mattered. If that promo would have sucked, it would have mattered. If he was rattled by it, it could have easily derailed the whole thing.
Like a pro.
Did he? Absolutely. Don't know if you were. I don't think you were watching all of the Sami promo at the beginning of tonight's Raw. Interesting though, he came out to the the old music.
Oh really?
And then went at the end when they finished, when he's walking out, it was back to the new Sami music, the crappy theme that he has.
Huh.
So it was weird. He came out to the and then they played the old one when he was getting back out of there. So that's weird,
That is weird. Well, so going back to that, I do think that you could have that showdown in the ring eventually with Kenny and fucking CM Punk.
It's possible.
Like dude, and just imagine, and I am not fantasy, I guess I am fantasy booking, but I also don't care if it doesn't happen. But if you're gonna do it, you have someone who calls himself known as the best in the world, CM Punk, that's the tag. And then you have best in the world, Kenny
Omega. Yeah, the god of pro wrestling, Kenny Omega. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I think it could draw a lot of money. I don't know that that's the direction they go, but if you're talking Kenny Omega, you can talk the Elite, and you can talk the Trios titles, and you can talk, of course, the House of Black. Like, that seems like the match that they're going to go with.
I mean, it seems like the only thing they have going on.
Right. And I think, again, that'll be a good match. Like, I have intrigue around that. I kind of feel like, though, House of Black kind of needs to win that. Like, it's been...
if they don't win that,
why are they the House of Black? What are they doing? Like, and that would be a way to get Kenny out of the Trios picture back into a singles picture if you wanted to do something with Punk.
Yeah.
If, like, he is indeed maybe coming back. So yeah, there's something to that. Presumably, of course, we're going to get at least one of the women's champions defended on the show. I'm thinking it's going to be Hater Saraya. It's either Hater Saraya or Hater Ruby. Right?
Or a triple threat.
Triple threat, because Saraya just can't fucking wrestle anymore, and she should not be doing this. I made the joke the other week when we watched this atrocious main event.
You made it in the text, and I laughed out fucking loud, and when I read it back tonight to you off air, we laughed out loud.
Yeah,
fucking hilarious.
Well, it was such an atrocious main event, and I'm watching Saraya, and she's like obviously having to be so delicate and careful with her own health, and we all get why. That's like, but why are you doing it then, right? Like, if you've got to be that careful, there comes a certain amount of risk in pro wrestling.
Just be a manager,
exactly. Be a figurehead of some description. Be in charge of the women's division booking, something, whatever.
Take your one bump or two a year
and call it a day. But she looks like Bret Hart in jean shorts. That's what she looks like when she's in a wrestling ring. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the reference goes back to when Bret Hart came back to WWE and legally could not take a bump, but they still had him wrestle a match. And he would just basically do a lot of kicks and not really ever fall down. Like, it was...
He wore the jean shorts and he still had the straps up over his shoulder.
Sure did. It was
It's not very graceful, is what you're saying.
No. Saraya sucks. She needs to not be in there. The main event... Okay,
listen,
so here's the thing.
They did a fart butt, like, spray paint it green.
Oh, what the
fuck was that?
What did they think it was even going to look like? How did they think that spot would have even worked? You could maybe...
They got in the ring. You know that. They took whatever can they had and tested it.
I don't think they did. I don't think that they did. Like,
horrible.
You could have done it better with something like a shaving cream, maybe, or something like that. Like,
just don't do it.
Or just don't do it, because it's a dumb fucking spot.
A better effect than what I saw, which was zero. It was horrible.
Also, why in 2023 is loser still even an insult to people? Like that is such an elementary school. What a loser. Like, fucking just lame insult. If you're gonna call somebody, like, this is the same company that has people saying shit, asshole, bitch, and sometimes fuck on television. You can't come up with a better insult than loser?
You know, the only thing that would have actually made it, and I'm sorry I disregarded this when you said it, do like whipped cream and do a pie, because didn't Tony Storm take a pie from Charlotte?
Yes, exactly. That was
right. That's the only way that would have worked. Because
do it with whipped cream and make it a nod to that.
Because thinking about it, the whole story, like, you don't know, you're here, and we came from that whole homegrown, like, whatever. Tony Storm never did anything great. I mean, like, maybe NXT.
No, she didn't.
Like, beyond that,
she was big in NXT UK. She wasn't big in NXT.
I know,
and no one watches NXT UK anyway.
So it doesn't work.
And the whole story of, like, this, we're the old school pillars of AEW, and you're the, like, all of it's mismatched anyway. So none of it makes any goddamn sense. None of like, the heels should be the faces, and the faces should be the heels. Like everything is reversed. It's setting up for some probably underwhelming main event at Revolution. So there's another match on your card. So now we're up to 5. Here's the problem. AEW likes to stack their pay-per-views. So we're probably going to get like 12 matches. So we do, like, but I'm curious, like, what else do we have? All right, so 6 would be House of Black and the Elite, right? Like, that seems like that's Revolution worthy, sure. And that will deliver. That will be your high flying, crazy fucking spot fest match with big stuff from Brody King and like big cool shit with Matthews and Kenny Omega. Like, that'll be
where do you
great.
fit like Lucha? Oh, Lucha Bros have to be in that tag match.
Oh, that would make sense. They would be a good fit for that.
Yeah, FTR, Lucha,
Yeah,
Acclaim.
that's a good fit for them.
Okay,
That's a good
that
fit for
works.
them. What do you do with Jade Cargill? Do they
Hey,
bite the bullet?
I heard that she hasn't beat Red Velvet in like 4 days.
Oh God, yeah. Let's do another match with her in Red Velvet because that's the only person that she's had the remotest bit of chemistry with.
You can't put her on up with the main card females with that belt on her.
No, you can't. And what you need to do, like I've said from the beginning, if it's not going to be Statlander because she's injured, which I think was the original plan, you have to do it with Willow. So that would be my match. I think you do it with Willow because she's the antithesis of Jade Cargill. I think it would be a perfect, like, way to get the belt off of Jade because Jade would be so fucking pissed and like it would be, to lose it to this smiley, oh, you don't even take this shit seriously type thing, like, complete opposite. So I think that's a good call on that one. I maybe Hook does something. I don't know what you do with that. Darby probably has something with Sting, and that.
So Darby Sting, because Sting last
they're
week
setting something up, aren't they? With
because he did that like it's gonna be a blowout or whatever the fuck it was, and then he like yelled it. Remember? I don't know. I remember us talking about it. I made it a thing because it seemed like a thing at the time. But what else do you have? I mean,
know.
So Jungle Boy Christian.
So that's 7.
What's Kip Sabian do?
Oh, Miro. I don't know. They do need to figure out a way to bring back Miro to do something.
Dude, Kip Sabian has been Kip Sabian, if you believe anything that you read online, Tony doesn't put people on TV unless they're fucking drawing. Kip Sabian has been on TV a lot in the past few weeks.
You're right.
A lot. He's been wrestling.
Who's he fucking drawing?
Where the fuck did he come from, dude? And what happened to the brown bag? Like, I have
what happened to his box?
Yeah, I really don't know.
He's got this new mask thing on the indies. I don't know if you've seen that. He's been doing mixed.
Following Kip Sabian on the
indies. He's been doing mixed tags with his wife or fiance or girlfriend Penelope Ford. He's been doing mixed tags with her, and now he has this, like, it's sort of like the box, but it's like, it's more of like an actual mask, but I don't think we've seen that on AEW television.
No, we have not, because he's been wrestling a lot recently. He just wrestled Hangman, dude. That was last week on Dynamite. How did he get to wrestle Hangman?
No idea. Do you
do
something?
Kip Sabian do?
I don't know.
So Butcher and Blade somehow?
They're not built enough to be able to be in a pay-per-view match. They don't need to give one. Jeff Jarrett will be in a match.
Okay, so what did they just do? What was that 8-man tag? So that was Orange Cat. Oh, so they'll do like Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay and Satnam and sorry, I just had it. Who did he just wrestle? Oh, and it'll be like Orange Cassidy and Best Friends.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I haven't hated what they've been doing with Orange Cassidy lately and having kind of like a big undefeated run with the All Atlantic Championship, but it feels like, why do we have this belt again? I thought this was going to be like defended in all different places. I thought this was like the roaming belt. It doesn't have that at all. It feels like we just created a belt just to put it on someone to make them happy, like call them a champion, and that's that. And then I stumbled on a thread about a week ago about someone was saying, I know this sounds crazy, but I have some ideas for if you ever wanted to turn Orange Cassidy heel. And at first thought, you're like, Orange Cassidy can't be heel, right? Like, it's one of those gimmicks that's, it's sort of, it is what it is. Like if you tweak it and change it too much, you lose what you have with the gimmick in and of itself.
Does he like drop the gimmick to go heel?
So someone
He
said,
like wakes up and doesn't do his hair and put on sunglasses.
calls himself Blood Orange, number one.
Yes, yes.
Instead of the lazy thumbs up, it's the lazy thumbs down.
Yes.
You change the lenses in his glasses to red. You maybe even
His shirt's black instead of white.
Black instead of white.
It's like dark denim instead
dark
of light
denim instead of white denim. I kind of think
I love that. I fucking love that.
I kind of think you can make it work, especially if you were to actually show more of an aggressive streak in the ring. And we've seen like flashes of that, of course, with Orange Cassidy over the years, where he's like not just doing the lazy shtick, he's getting more intense, but you turn that into more of like, oh, he's actually like a bad guy. Like he's actually like being a dick. And I think it can work.
What if you do it so like he slowly is morphing into it, like you're saying, but you're slowly seeing it if you're paying attention. So like maybe his socks are black, or like the heel of his boots are black, and
bit at a time, little bit at a time,
and then it's like his belt is black, and then all of a sudden in a promo, best friends say, "Are you wearing a V-neck?" And it's still white, but it's a V-neck, and then it slowly starts going gray, and then it's black.
Then you love that. Oh, you've got to do something with his hands, where he puts his hands in his pockets like he does, but then he pulls them out. Maybe they've got like red dye or something in there. He pulls it out like where his hands like are now like red in the inside, and then he does a fuck you type thing, like something like that, like, or he goes fuck you and puts his hands into his pockets like as the fuck. Yeah, there's all sorts of little tweaks you can do, and I think that it might be necessary with Orange Cassidy over time, because we've mentioned this on the show before. How much staying power does that gimmick have? How much life can you pull out of that gimmick? Not for nothing, and I love it, but it is kind of one-dimensional. Like, it does need to sort of evolve. It does need to change, and they've done a decent job with that over time. Like, I'm glad he can talk now, and originally he never even said a word. So
well, and we never thought he could be a champion, right? And he's done a good job, and he's booked it well with the backpack and everything. I mean, he's done, and even getting to the level that he was at, and he kind of kept pushing, and he did what you're supposed to do. So I think of it almost like you're driving a stick shift, like a manual, right? When you kick to the next gear, you have to like hold off for a second, right? To like kick it into gear, you have to let off the gas.
You let off the gas to switch into the clutch.
To switch gears, and then you let off the clutch and you push the gas. So there's like a moment where you've pulled back, really, because you're moving into next gear. He's done a great job at doing that.
Yes.
And I agree with what you're saying. I think that I have not thought of that until you said that, but I think that's amazing. I also think it begs the question, because we kind of talked about AEW being in a lull right now, and we were hot on them end of the year into the beginning of the year.
Most of this year has been really, really good, but it
has been. But so the question, I think, lies in, because we talk about WWE, right? And we're like, the Sami bloodline, everything, that's been so good. We critique a lot of other things. So the question is, WWE has tons of writers. Tony, we know, is like the
head
main
booker,
and they don't have writers. I'm sure people have input, right? And obviously it's their characters and this, that, and the other, but it's not a team of writers. So
it's Tony Khan, Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, you're seeing like two different, you know what I'm saying? Like, where some storylines and such we're seeing on WWE, where we talk about them, we say it's a bad storyline, this, that, and the other. Well, maybe it's just very inexperienced writers, probably, and like these other writers are putting on. But wouldn't you think, if you're a company level like WWE, you're like, well, sprinkle some of those fucking really good writers into everything.
Sure.
So everything's fucking banging, right? So what's going on there that doesn't make it work?
I often wonder with the current
the opposite end of AEW.
Well, I often wonder with the current wrestling landscape if we would be saying the same thing had the Triple H change not happen. Would we, because is it
Point.
are we a little down on AEW right now because WWE's been so fucking good lately? Like is that, I mean, it's got to be part of it. I think we would still be a little bit like, this could be better, but I do think it amplifies the
So
the level
I
of
do,
contempt that we have for the current situation, and
but
it's
it's
only
not
again in the last
everything in
couple of weeks.
WWE. But
No,
it's
it
not
isn't. No, it
everything in
isn't.
WWE. But the good that they're doing is so fucking good.
Yeah, that it
It's so
outbalance
good.
it. The balance
So
is
I almost made the joke in the Discord over the weekend when we were watching Elimination Chamber because someone was talking about Jimmy and Jay and like who couldn't get in or out of the country, like the
Yeah.
Canada notorious, like that sort of thing. I almost replied back something to the effect of like the bloodline story transcends fucking all borders.
You're
Like
kind of right.
it's sorry, yeah, we got to cross border to keep this going.
Even Canada was like, all right, the bloodline story's
Yeah,
so good, we'll let him
fucking
in.
fine,
We'll let
fucking
Jay
fine.
in. Yeah.
But Brock Lesnar's not losing here. We're gonna do that Bray murder match.
Yeah, exactly.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Wherever the fuck it is.
One thing I definitely needed to mention on kind of like, the ancillary, topic of AEW is the whole debacle that's been going on with Tony Khan and Ariel Davari.
Oh my god, dude. Tony Khan, get off Twitter.
Stop it. Like, set yourself an alarm. Like, once you do the first line of blow, your phone goes away. Like, you're
Ariel
not.
like,
well, this is it.
Talk about something related to blow.
Well, that like, first off, what
I think
this is multi-pronged. This whole like situation. If you don't know about it, there was a Twitter exchange between Tony Khan and Ariel Davari, who is a famed, he made his I think
he's a famed like
MMA journalist, reporter type thing. And now he appeared at
Combat
Elimination
Sports.
Yes, Combat Sports. And now he has appeared. He did he was the guy that did the interview with Triple H after his health scare. He's done several things for BT Sport that are high profile wrestling related WWE and AEW related interviews. And now he's
one of the big ones being
with Tony
Khan and asking him a lot of questions about like the brawl out situation and
stuff
Tony Khan
that
not being
he knew that he couldn't get answers for, that Tony told him that he was not going to answer, that he repeatedly tried to get answers for. I understand what you're doing. Tony can only say so much legally. Where Tony Khan, what he's saying isn't incredibly wrong in his tweets to Ariel Davari. It's the way he's doing it that is the problem. Now, Ariel Davari responds because Tony basically calls this guy out, calling him a sham, for lack of a better word. Like, he's a shitty reporter, like crap journalism, all this sort of thing. Basically claiming that this guy's biased, and that's why I think a lot of this comes from a press conference as well, where, like, of course, Tony was grilled so heavily about the CM Punk thing, all that. When Ariel had the chance to ask a lot of questions of Triple H and WWE about the Vince allegations, about the situation with the sale, he did not. So what Tony Khan is saying is true. He is accusing him of being biased towards someone who is now, we know, actively being paid by the WWE. He was at,
so he's not wrong.
He is not wrong. He did interviews for Peacock. He did stuff. He was at the chamber, like, basically, like,
dude, he was on WWE.
He was on, so he's getting paid by WWE. So you can't, like, Tony has a right to claim that this guy has a bias. Now, to do it the way he did it, in a pretty late night tweet where it seemed pretty unhinged to Ariel Davari. First off, I don't know why that
what? to some people may call it a very late night. Tony Khan calls it a very
early morning. He's just getting started.
Just woke up.
Yeah.
Just he did some yoga, meditated. He wrote in his gratitude
He
journal.
had that half an hour power nap. That's all.
Then he wrote in his gratitude journal, and then he woke, and then he came to his senses and chose violence.
He did in this particular case, and again, yeah, it was pretty unhinged. It didn't seem like it's not a good business move, especially if you're trying to like impress Warner Brothers or people like to increase your TV rights fees and all this sort of thing. Stop. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing this. He's obsessed with the idea of being the challenging brand, because TBS and TNT told him to go out there and do this. They told him to basically, we know we're not going to be the top guy, but you have to be the Pepsi to the Coke. You have to be the challenging brand that constantly is. That's why you get all the mentions on AEW television of, little digs at WWE. That's the point. He's doing that now with Ariel Devari. That's what I'm seeing. Now, Devari's tweet was pretty goddamn underhanded as well. That was a total blowback of it came across as super passive aggressive. I was like, oh well, thanks, man. Like blah blah blah.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
but
no worries. Sorry,
I know for sure in one of them he is essentially he uses the term "all right, snowman." Like he calls him a snowman, which has to be a reference to blow and cocaine.
If you guys have listened to any sort of rap from the South, Young Jeezy, now known as Jeezy, is also known as AKA the Snowman.
God damn, you're so hood, Matthew. You're so hood, Matthew.
I was Jeezy's weed roller.
I know you were. I know. You're so hood. Well,
that's not even a lie.
The Snowman. He calls himself Snowman of the South.
Dude, he used to have this huge chain as fucking diamonds. There's a giant snowman. It's 3 fucking circles of diamonds. And it's fucking had the carrot nose, which was all orange diamonds.
Wow.
Black coal eyes.
That's some baller shit.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, if you're into that, I don't know.
I have bills to pay, but
yeah. I mean, if you're into that, that's
if you have disposable income and you are the snowman, then let's do it.
All right.
I am looking this up. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But that was like, while you find it for exact context, I know, in my opinion, like that did seem a little underhanded. That did seem like something that was also poor judgment on Devari's part as well. I guess my bigger thing is, why are these two grown men, like these supposed professionals, airing their grievances with each other on Twitter when this benefits no one?
Where else do you air your grievances?
What? Get a podcast like me, goddammit.
Yeah, right. Say it out loud with your mouth.
Yeah.
I want to hear your voice.
Yeah. But no, like it does feel stupid. It does feel super stupid, like I said, for Tony Khan to be doing this. This can't be doing Ariel Devari as a journalist any favors if he is indeed almost then like basically saying kind of I am biased, right? Like I guess it maybe sort of benefits WWE from the exposure and attention to it, but Devari's not going to get any interviews anymore with anybody from AEW, is he?
Yeah, he's not.
So that doesn't do him any favors.
So Tony had said, "You're a fraud," and then Ariel's tag, "You're as legitimate a reporter as at Tony Schiavone." And then Ariel said, "Thanks for watching, old friend. Can't wait for our next chat." And then in parentheses, also, "Don't listen to the snowman, Schiavone. You're a legend in my book." So is he saying that?
Is he calling Schiavone?
Is Schiavone the kingpin?
Maybe Schiavone's doing all the blow. He got them earrings and shit.
Yeah, Schiavone is what was that movie? God damn. Yeah, I can't explain it right now. Just let's keep going. Sorry. But then Tony.
But yeah, it is weird how Schiavone gets thrown into this.
Oh yeah, Tony
like, out of nowhere.
Kaiser Sose. Sorry, that's where I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Sorry. Then Tony responded with, "Good luck with the unbiased journalism."
Right. But why? Yeah, Shivani, why is he getting thrown into this? Like,
Well,
maybe
he might like to
there's
party, dude.
maybe he
Have you seen
does.
his the weird? Like he gets like these weird. He's all his hands
Yeah,
are always shaking.
yeah,
Like he's like doesn't he's like doing these weird movements.
he does kind of do that.
He is a weird character. He looks the way he acts in the ring and like in backstage segments. The way I watch his hands and stuff like that. And I've said this before on the podcast that like it just seems.
He's like,
I know
it's
he's
like a
doing his
robot
part, but it's like,
malfunctioning or something.
yeah, he seems like one of those robots from Chuck E. Cheese back in the day. He's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
I don't know. You,
Bret Hart. He's
Oh.
Bret Hart in jean shorts.
Yes, and it's like a jean jacket that's
Yeah,
too small for him,
yeah,
so his arms are backing out. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I don't know. It remains to be seen if anything more comes of the whole situation. But again, TK, get off Twitter. I want you guys to continue with episodic television on TBS and TNT for as long as possible, and I want you to get like the best rights fee possible because I want wrestling to succeed. And you doing stupid shit like this does not help wrestling succeed.
It doesn't. But so I guess this goes back to what I was kind of we started talking about earlier, which was the whole WWE having writers and this, that, and the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can poke holes in that all we want, but also then the argument is, well, why don't you have the writers who are writing the good shit,
right? The stuff that's not working,
or at least like peppering it in, right? So there's holes to be put in there. For as good as AEW, when they do have like, you know, one quote unquote main person or persons doing this, right? But it's not like a writing team who's writing things, right? They've done some good things. They've also done some really bad things. Mm-hmm. And I think it's, you know, for as good, they've also done this fair amount of bad, right?
Remember the Nightmare Collective? Wasn't that what they were called? Brandy Rhodes' little stable.
That was scrubbed from my memory. You've now this is like a Black Mirror episode of my life now.
Serpentico.
I'm like a sleeper cell, and you just woke me. Nightmare Family.
No, it happens though. I mean, like, there's been tons of shit, right, with AEW.
Yeah,
this
please
just not.
tell me
Usually, they're good at pivoting.
Rhodes is not with Swerve.
They're good at pivoting though, and they get out of it, and then they're like, okay, this isn't working, moving on.
But they do bad booking. So I guess my question to you is, obviously, one is not better. Is one better than? Well, obviously not. But like, is one, because everyone's opinion, is one better than the other? And also, do you think there could be something better if you?
Yes.
Better
here's
melded.
Here's what works the best. You have one guy that's the booker that actually makes the decisions about who's going over and how the story is going to operate.
The final call.
The final call guy needs to happen, right? That's what Vince was, of course, for so many years. The way it worked, I believe, the best was when you had semi-scripted, semi-unscripted promos in WWF at the time.
Yeah.
This was in the era where you had a small handful of writers along with Vince working together as the major team to come to the original goal. Okay, this is what we want. We want Bret Hart to become champion, whatever it is, right? Working backwards from that, how do we get there? What feuds is he in? What storylines do we have? And then you have that few crew, which used to be like your Pat Pattersons, right? You used to have I know the Briscoes were big in some of it. I know for a period, of course, Jim Cornette and JR. So this is the deal. Tony needs to be the booker. Tony needs to be the Vince, but he needs to have the small crew around him that can help him develop the stories and characters in the in-between to get to the end goals. That's what I think is the perfect mix. Rather than having a team of writers, too. This is what I don't like about WWE, is because it is so, like, I use the word unhinged again. But it feels all over the place where, like, there's no cohesiveness. You can tell that, hey, you three writers, you're going to go off and you're going to focus on the Austin Theory development and story. You three writers, you're going to go over here and you're going to do this with the Judgment Day. you 3 writers, you're gonna go over here and you're gonna work on Sami and Roman. Well, that's all well and good, but it's nice if you have like cohesiveness
I feel
in
like I could
between
do
different
most
stories.
of that work in 30 minutes a day.
I mean, we do it here. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it might
Like
take.
if you were like, listen, we have 6 weeks to build to this. I need you to go off and be like,
yeah, give me an
"All right,
hour. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna.
when do you need it? Can I also phone a friend because I might call
Yeah,
Owen? This may or may not be recorded for quality assurance purposes." Yeah. Uh-huh.
Got it. Yeah.
Well, you know what you did describe to me in this whole booking and like starting somewhere because you don't really know and you're telling stories and then something catches on and it's really good
To
and then you
pivot,
don't know how to end it, or the opposite of that is you know the end, right?
you have to
And
know
you're
the
like,
end.
and then you work
That's
back.
that's
right?
what booking is. It's always
So-
that. That's
so
what it
I
should
think
be.
What we see in wrestling, I think the best metaphor is Lost. Did you ever watch the TV show Lost?
I know a bit about it, but no, I'm not like
It was so good, dude.
That show fell the fuck off hard because they didn't have an ending.
It went so well, and then what happened was I don't think they ever expected it to go that well.
Yeah.
Then it went so well, and then when they knew they had to close it and they signed the deal like a couple seasons out, I was so into it. Like I read books about it and shit like that. Like, so what they did is they started at the end when they knew they had 3 seasons left, I think.
Okay.
And then they were like, all right,
they booked backwards.
And then they booked backwards, but they didn't do a great job because they had only booked forwards to the halfway.
Yeah, now you're meeting in the middle.
It was like, they didn't pull it off.
It gets confusing. That's what's
so
happening.
It's exactly what you're saying.
This is what happens with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt has an end. He kind of has an end thing, right? And his end thing is.
Does he?
Well, this is my point.
Or I think he had an end thing.
But Bray thinks he has an end thing, and it's Bray is cool and wins, right? Like that's all it is at the end. But there's not really much substance to get back to what it needs to be. So the Bray has to like do trying to get here, and there's no way to book it backwards because there's no fucking ending.
Yeah,
it's just that's exactly it. Like,
yep,
it drives me crazy. Couple last things that we should talk about.
Austin Theory just pinned Edge.
Well, what a shocker.
And now Finn Balor's hitting Edge, so Finn Balor, Edge, wrestling.
Yeah, okay. All right.
He's wearing a white bandana around his neck.
I see this. I like bandana Finn. So, that's cool.
Yeah, well, I did watch that NWO thing on AEW or on AEW A&E last night.
Yeah.
and they were talking about when they started using the bandanas and stuff, and it was only because fucking Tupac and shit was popular, and they're trying to remain relevant.
No, you're absolutely right. Like it was the gangsta rap thing. Like that's where Big Nasty, Big Sexy.
Well, and then they
did the whole
fucking
like
cut
thing.
to a clip of all of them like beating down on who knows who in the fucking back of it, loading docks, and fucking Kevin Nash is all thug life.
Yep, they were all into it. He was super into that shit. Let's talk about the last couple things here. I've got to do my honorable Twitter, wrestling Twitter mention of the week.
Oh yeah,
and I've been doing these the last few weeks. So I'm gonna nominate this week. It's Victor Taylor Perry. This is a wholesome one. Victor Taylor Perry at Wallflower Perry. And he is a teacher in a pretty urban school in New York. And if you haven't heard about this story, and you may have seen some of the sweatshirts out there, even wrestlers are wearing them in interviews from time to time. But he started a thing called the Wrestling Club. So he teaches during the day, and he has an extracurricular where kids can stay after school, learn about, and watch wrestling. There's
a lot of accounts on Instagram and stuff like that repost things that he does too. So if you're not following him directly, which you should, just you've probably seen it where you see these kids in a classroom setting watching wrestling up on like a projection screen.
It really it's amazing because it makes me feel like a kid again. It uh it shows that wrestling can be so much more and have that feeling, and it's the good parts of wrestling. It's the
Well,
heartwarming stuff that we don't
it
get that much of, and it's
it
nice to
reminds me
see
of
it through kids' eyes, you know? It's like they're
it
watching
really
matches
is.
from the 90s. They're seeing fucking Shawn Michaels win the title after he's shown like the build of Shawn, and
Yeah.
like they're getting into stuff
They're
that
also
like
watching New Japan matches.
dude, they're watching
and
New
shit.
Japan matches. They're watching like one of the here's one of the best parts. He was like, okay, so the kids that are in my wrestling club, they stay after class. Some of them are actually, of course, in my actual classes. So they all have like nicknames, and they have asked that now instead of being referred to by their names, they can be referred to as their favorite wrestlers' names. So he like goes to ask his, like kid, hey Austin, what's the answer to this problem or whatever it is. And he's like, that's not my name. Okay, Speedball Mike Bailey. Like he has to name them by their favorite wrestler's name. All right, so he calls him like Speedball, and then like so on. But to that point, not many people even know who Speedball Mike Bailey is.
Mike Bailey is, yeah.
And he's incredible. I can't believe he's not signed to a bigger company, to be honest with you, by this point. But that'll happen in the next couple of years. He's one of the top free agents. You'll see him soon. I'm very confident of that.
I will say, like, that kid-like thing, so I've joked about it when I've talked to people. I'm like, I watch pro wrestling and, like, work and hang out with my dog, and I can, like, do whatever else I want whenever I want. I live the life of like a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like,
I buy toys.
Yeah, but I can like drink and smoke weed and got my own place and like got a dog,
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
It's still like pretty much a 13-year-old boy.
Exactly. I've made that joke, but it is that kind of thing like when you watch wrestling with your friends. So I think about not only the time that like we've gone to WrestleMania and Duncan too, and then we've all gone to Double or Nothing before, and we had Duncan and I had gone to All In.
Sure.
And it's just like you go through that, but then there was also that time that like we watched Mania like together, just hanging out, like without even going it. Like I came down and I was there, and it was like, and that is just so much. That's like that wrestling club, like being with your friends. Like
they're on the same wrestling page with you too.
Like, we're all excited. Like we're there to watch these matches. We're invested, and we can talk about it. And like, this is just it's so cool because that's one of the things that I love so much about wrestling is that the people that I engage with about it, and especially you and doing this podcast and the people in the group,
part of the fun, man.
We all just. We love it so much, and we suspend the disbelief, even though we know. And like,
but that's why we have to talk about it with someone else because we love it so much.
Yeah, it's this story, and that watching when you get to watch it with your friends, it is like that wrestling club of like, dude, being able. It is a thing,
and the immense joy that I've gotten
even at this age, it's a thing.
The immense joy I've gotten 2 of these. Like, first off, getting someone into wrestling is like, I feel like honored, like it's a weird like feeling that you get. You feel proud, but you feel honored, and you feel like like you've taken it, like, because I know it's not an easy thing to get into, right? Like but if you can get like someone brand new into it, that's beautiful. Like it's an experience in and of itself. And then even better than that, I think, is getting the lapsed fan back in. And I had that happen with about 2 or 3 different people, but one in particular when AEW really got cooking and started. And I worked with him, and he knew I was going to Double or Nothing and was intrigued. And, I told him, and like, he's like, I used to watch wrestling and everything. And then he started out, of course, investigating what's this, AEW thing. And turns out before I got back, he's texting me, all right, I'm buying Double or Nothing. Like, and he's, watching Double or Nothing. He's seeing it from the ground level. Like it's, and that to me was just like, that's great. Like it gave me a warm feeling. Like, and that's what this wrestling club, the wrestling club, and at Wallflower Perry, Thank you, Victor, and what you're doing with those kids is awesome. That's why I think it's just so important for people to support
Big
them.
shout out.
You can buy again, you can buy like merch that goes to directly support these kids, which I'm pretty sure these are like more inner city, less privileged kids that could probably use like some extra bones to support
Yeah.
to support their in-school club. And I also think what he's doing is like an after-school program, because if these kids weren't
And
watching
just
this wrestling
imagine
in like school, like having fun, they could be on the streets, they could
they could be
be
doing something else. And
you know
imagine if you were just imagine like even if you're not a, inner city or whatever, underprivileged anything, like imagine
oh dude, even at
the
the
time
rich.
after school and imagine how much you loved wrestling then. If you did
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
indeed watch wrestling then as a kid, I know I did, but they were like you had to get tapes and you had to like watch on Saturday mornings and things like that, right? Like, and beyond that, it was tapes, right?
And there was also
And
a lot of misconceptions, and sometimes having to convince your parents who might have thought, oh, like because they might have seen like some bloody matches, right, or
which
something
is
like that.
yeah,
Maybe this isn't age appropriate. Maybe this isn't kid appropriate. That's one of the nice things that he's doing with the wrestling club is he's sort of, he's letting the parents know these are the matches I'm showing, and I'm not ever showing them like he's not showing them the explicit attitude era, Trish Stratus bark like a dog stuff.
yeah.
He's not
He's
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 not showing
also
them John Moxley in death matches and like that type of thing. Like, but he is showing them stuff where it's like, this is Kenny Omega, this is him in New Japan, this is Will Ospreay, this is like
yeah.
what a and what a great thing
Imagine
for a
having a
parent
place
of
to
a
do
kid
that
that
after
wants to be into
school.
wrestling, but you don't have time to filter out which matches he can watch and
Matches are
what he
good
can't.
or not good, but you have
Now
someone
you have
who's willing
someone
to do
who
that and put a group
it's
together in a
fucking
safe
awesome,
space. It's great.
dude. It
Imagine
really is.
having that if you were. I would have gone to that all the time.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been. It absolutely would have been like something that us and a group of friends. I mean, to a degree, of course, we had that. Um, in like our neighborhoods, right? We had our friends that we would go around to, different. I mean, we would go around different people's houses. We would always, try and find, a way to watch a show or whatever it is. Um, and so we created our own wrestling clubs. But I wasn't an underprivileged fucking kid, right? Like I had a friend's house to go watch that. A lot of these kids probably don't.
Yeah.
Like now they don't have to worry about, to watch all these matches. Think about all the streaming services and shit too that you need to be able to have access to. It's tough. So,
Look, yeah. You know what we should do? We should find out where they are. Start a GoFundMe that you put that so when the wrestling comes around, that group gets to go see wrestling.
dude, absolutely. Well, I mean, they're getting visits now from
Yeah,
WWE
I know.
superstars. They're looking out for them. They've hit that level where I think they might be okay in that regard. But
All right. Well,
but
wrestlers
well,
start now coming to the No Wrestling show.
well, we should start stuff like that in every city, right? Like every city needs programs and things like that.
programs
So,
that.
like, yeah, if you've got some extra time to give, start a wrestling club.
And also because wrestling, the whole business and industry of wrestling transcends so much. So even if you're into production or you're into writing scripts or if you're, all of
You're a
these
theater
types of
kid.
things, yeah, like all of that, it transcends so much.
Yep. That's it. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can do. I mean, hell, there's so many great promos that can be, like
The reason this probably doesn't
deconstructed
happen,
as monologues and whatnot that you could.
the reason they don't teach wrestling in school and they don't do this is because, to quote Owen Butler, politics is wrestling. Wrestling is politics. And so if you were from a young age able to see that what they were playing out is a charade, they wait until you're older and you're like in the system paying taxes and shit.
Wisest words I've ever said. Wisest words I've ever
saw
said.
that before, then they wouldn't let you. So bring wrestling back to schools.
No, I love it. I think it's a great idea. So let's do one final question. let's do one final little
All right.
topic, all right, before we get out of here. And we mentioned earlier about we think that CM Punk will probably eventually return to AEW. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the media about WWE having interest in a certain Kenny Omega. Now, we can speculate all day long about whether Kenny Omega would go to WWE. I lean towards, of course, no. Think you probably do the same. But let's just hypothetically say that Kenny Omega ends up signing a deal with WWE.
Stipulation number 1, for spite in his contract, he beats Cody Rhodes for the title, and Cody is never allowed to fucking challenge for the title again.
That would be amazing.
Fuck you, Cody.
Yeah. The question is, what are the programs you put him in? What do you do with him? I mean, if Cody's the champion, it seems obvious that, yes, it would have to be, well, that's, you come in, Kenny Omega's coming in, and he's going to challenge you, and you're going to have a series of 3 to fucking 10 matches. And so at the end of it, like, you'll swap the belts back and forth like a million times.
I mean, I think at that point,
you have like a 3-year-old. You could do like you could do like a 2-year long program between Kenny and Cody.
You could, and then
it would be great.
But then Kenny's old.
Then he's thrashed. Then he's thrashed by that point.
And then he says, "All right, well, I'll do some matches just to put people over." So you get some matches. I mean, it is what it is.
I think, though, it leads to so many interesting possibilities if you have Kenny Omega as a defending champion to a multitude of people, because I love the idea of Kenny and Seth, number 1.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good one.
Kenny and Roman would be interesting. I don't know how well it would work, but I'd be down to see it.
I'm sure they'd make it work. I'm sure it would be great.
I'm sure they would. Who else would you like to see? I mean, the roster. So I took the top 3 biggest guys that you'd obviously choose, but I mean, there's got to be, of course, plenty more options on that roster.
Kenny, Montez.
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that would be really good. That would be good.
That.
Yeah, I'd watch that. Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther.
I think they could have a Styles Clash.
I would watch a
thing.
fucking Omega Pete Dunne match.
Oh, all day long.
Yeah.
Weirdly, Braun Breaker, I could see having a good match. I think they could have a good match. Do you know who's challenging? Maybe. Do you know who's challenging Braun Breaker on this next NXT? I think. I don't know. I don't watch the shit. But apparently,
Omega?
That's fucking Jinder Mahal is fucking coming after Braun Breaker, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get it, Jinder.
Don't hinder that motherfucker. Like, what if I would? That would be so great for just, I don't know, like the lore of it all. If Jinder were to be the one to topple the Braun Breaker, like for some reason, I would love it. I think, and I don't know. I think there's like there's a tongue in cheek, like, yeah, you didn't like it the first time when we made Jinder champion. Watch this time,
right?
like it is so dumb. It works.
And then watch Jinder get suspended for an OnlyFans.
Oh, there you go. Oh, sexy, big old OnlyFans. I've seen
veins.
I saw them veins. Oh man, there's got to be more. I mean, a Gargano, I guess, right? Would be good with Omega.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I could see them having a good.
Him and Styles.
Oh yeah. That's
Balor.
Like, oh, I can't believe we didn't get to those two.
I would even watch him and Damian Priest.
Sure. Oh man, it would really twist the Good Brothers up, wouldn't it? They gotta. Just thinking about, like, they don't know. I kind of love the idea of the backstage segments of, them having to choose between Kenny Omega and Uncle Alan AJ, like like going back and forth, like, who owns us, and then Finn gets in the mix, and then it's just all confusing with all the Bullet Club. Cody's there, he's just like, no, remember, like,
Yeah, I
Here's
mean,
the
I think
here's the thing. A lot of people are just like, no, Kenny Omega should stay with AEW. It's the best place for him. Like, and it makes complete sense. And you're right to a degree. But wrestling should be cool enough to like, let's just do this for 2-3 years. See what happens. See if what
and
we can
then
make of
yeah.
it. And I know Kenny is approaching the tail end of his career, so that's why you gotta do it like now.
Well, it's
But
also you see a lot of other athletes do that, like LeBron, like they'll like dip somewhere else, and then they're
sure.
like, ah, shit, it didn't really work out so great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Back
dip back,
to
get another
Oklahoma or
championship, and
whatever. Or like,
yeah, fucking go. Yeah, I'm going back to Ohio or whatever the fuck it
where the
is.
fuck he's at. I don't know what they do. But
Cleveland.
dude, like I feel like with like Kenny and the Bucks even, right? Like to have them do a couple years like in the WWE and go back, and that's kind of what we're seeing with maybe even with Cody. I still think Cody will end up back in AEW once
Well,
upon a time.
I think that's then that sprinkling, right? You have these people, some of them who had some of the WWE came over, but the people who started AEW, other than Cody, were not really from that background. So now, if you have people from that generation sprinkle over and come back, it could elevate that product as an even bigger competitor, right? Also, because they're picking up things that they never learned before because they weren't in a system that had those things in place. So they can maybe from a different perspective pick up on certain things that might be good to then help another thing that once years down the road they get back, they've like learned these different things from this different experience. And they're like, well, have we
Yeah,
thought about applying this or trying? And you're like, now you're really building wrestling, right?
sure. I mean, I think that's what's great about like the AEW's openness to letting guys go do indie dates and whatnot. Like there was a talk for like a minute that NXT was going to be doing that, and it turned out to be like complete bullshit. Just basically like whoever or whatever her name is was Roxanne Perez, I
Oh
think,
yeah,
was wrestling at Booker T's promotion for one little quick thing, like because
yeah,
he trained her and everything. He's like, nah, we're making like one little exception for this. Like, no, like
that's it.
we're not letting indie talent or NXT talent do indie dates.
Yeah,
But could it serve them well? Fuck yeah, it could.
yeah,
Fuck yeah, it could. One, I know he said this was the last thing, but the very last thing. Didn't mention it earlier because don't really care, if I'm being quite honest. Mercedes Monet, New Japan Women's Champion, I suppose. Is it the Stardom Championship? Is the women like I think they've separated it now, right? Like this is the New Japan Women's
and
Championship, I
yeah,
believe. Who
it's the IWGP, I think. Yeah,
right. So yeah.
it's New Japan's.
So it's New Japan. So if it's the IWGP Women's Champion, then I guess, right? Previously held by Kairi Sane or whatever she goes
Yep.
by in Japan. And yeah, Sasha Banks defeated her. A couple things I'll mention about this. Did not watch the full match, just watched like some of the entrance and highlights.
I saw one move.
It didn't look very crisp, didn't look very good once again. The entrance looked Bobo as fuck. Bobo meaning like shitty. You know,
Okay.
like
Yeah, I didn't watch the entrance. I just
it
watched her like last move.
it's part of it's the venue, like whatever this, because it's like basically it was like New Japan Strong, right? In some civic hall in San Jose, did not have any grandeur. Crowd like this did not feel like a big deal for one former Sasha Banks, right? Like this did not feel to me like,
Okay.
wow, this seems like a real low budget scale for you. Also, remember that awesome hair that she had with the fire and shit?
The wig thing.
It's it's like no, I think that was actually a dye job. I mean, like it was a dye job into some probably fake weave.
I thought it was like a dye job on
I
the
don't know.
wig.
I don't know. Whatever it
Yeah.
was. Well, that was all like that. It didn't look vibrant or bright or anything. It looked like the dye had worn out.
Like she had like stuck a wig and weave
I don't know.
in like a suitcase for a month.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It didn't look that great. Nothing about it screamed at me, wow, this is a big like move upwards for Mercedes or whatever. Like, I don't know. It felt real low budget to me.
I'll be honest.
That's just my 2 cents.
Forgot it was coming up because even in my news feed with all the wrestling things I have tagged to hit me in my news feed, it didn't come up until the day of.
Yeah, it was.
And I was like, oh, that's happening. Yeah, that's happening. That's like the 18th. Okay, yeah, that's happening. And then there's been like 2 articles since then.
The Eddie Kingston Jay White stuff got more attention in my feed than a new women's champion in Japan, that's Sasha Banks. You know, like you would think it would be very much the other way around.
Yeah.
So I did find that interesting, but do you have anything else you want to just throw in there, or what? You know?
No, I think we're good. We covered everything. If I were gonna throw anything in, I'd throw us down another 30-minute, hour-long road. I'm
probably sure. Right, but you know, like you're always welcome to. I know I dominate kind of the direction and topics sometimes of the show, but you know,
I think it was a good show, good brother.
Yeah, I think we had some good energy there.
Well, yeah, we'll end on a high note.
Yeah, we got. What are we gonna call it? We got to call it something with like Brett and blue jeans or jean shorts. We gotta. I don't know what we're gonna go with, but we'll figure that out after the show. Let me throw on our outro tunes here. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Ono Wrestling Podcast. Time to get the plugs out of the way. OnoWrestling.com. Anywhere you find your podcast, you're gonna find Ono Wrestling. Twitch.tv/ONRS Live. That's where you can find us. Yeah, guess it, live. We do this show. You can find all the video streams up there as well. We've got an Ono Wrestling YouTube that I usually upload those to as well, so find that on YouTube. Patreon.com/ONRS. That's Ono Radio Show, by the way. And yeah, you can donate some extra cash there. OnoRadioshow.com if you like the comedy side of all this stuff without the wrestling. But hey, what kind of nerd are you? You know, if you're doing that, you know, it's just, Jesus, get some self-respect. That being said, if you ever want to leave us a voicemail, you can do that at 407-906-6466. And Matthew, what do we say when we get out of here?
A little.
Woo!